Sorry. Yeah, it was a little tricky getting home tonight. I did take a bit of time. Actually, might as well tell you, I've been doing some resumes. I'm in a tricky spot at work where there have been sort of some commitments in terms of the way the structure is going, and there is a task that I don't think anybody really wants to do, and they are trying to sort of specialize it into one group, like one sort of set group of people, and I sort of got drawn for the first run at that. And it turns out that the job is actually it is difficult in ways that I sort of think doesn't need to be, but the way things are structured have been. And one of the drawbacks is that I sort of think the way that it's all being run is not necessarily... I think there's some people that have been lost in terms of the staff, which have really made the difference in terms of where I was working. And it feels like things haven't quite caught up in terms of like getting things done. So this is sort of translated, as you guys have known from the last few casts when I talk about it, it's a lot of pressure and stress on me. And I think the idea is supposed to be that I will be doing more research and such when the time is off, but I've also been getting just very slight hints that at least some people are trying to put me full time on this like really unpleasant task that they're getting me to do. And I think one big thing is that I'm getting more and more the impression that my sort of long-term viability in the place is maybe not as high of a priority as a couple of other people who might be a little bit louder about their accomplishments, but tend to cut corners. And I don't like the idea of comparing myself to others, because I think that's a really good way to go crazy in a workplace. But I also sort of know that my usual tendency is that when there is a problem, I really don't like sort of sitting down and being like, well, this didn't happen because so-and-so didn't do their job. I usually just get it done. And it's kind of become apparent to me that some people are relying on that to burnish their own image. And it sort of feels like now it's like, okay, well, because I'm good at like programming or something like that, I should be stuck with, the tasks that nobody else wants to do. And I just generally think that it's never a healthy thing in a workplace for a group of people to feel like they're too good to do certain jobs. Now, a lot of that's speculative, which is why I'm not completely could have quit a while ago. But because I'm starting to get this impression that I'm getting... Hey, Captain Shield, thank you very much for the host. Because I'm getting the impression that maybe my overall well-being at the workplace is not as high of a priority as it is for some others, I've been looking at some of my other alternatives. I've got some actually very interesting things lined up. I should have been looking earlier. So my view on this is to try and make it work if I can. But I think I've also given it a long enough run to to see whether or not it's working for me. And I think at this point here, I sort of owe it to myself to at least give myself some options. So anyways, that is the long version of why I'm late. I wanted to make sure that I basically want to make sure that while I'm doing these resumes and that, I'm actually making the effort to find something that I like, be able to articulate why it's better than the status quo that I have right now, and move on. Because as much as I like the work that I do where I am right now, I definitely want to make sure that I feel like I am doing everything I can each day. So that's my excuse. Let's get into some Cultist Simulator, as always. So I'll do a quick second. We're 2018 11C1. One of the things I do sort of need to realize, I've been really bad at making progress in this game, and a lot of this is due to the fact that I'm very chatty. And I really do actually want to get things like the animal dances and such, because really I've not made that much progress beyond what I did during that special Steam stream. So, but as always, I do want to make sure that people get credit for what they're doing. Design, writing, and coding by Alexis Kennedy. Production, marketing, and biz by Lottie Bevan. Quick word on both of these. They have been very supportive on a couple of articles that I've read recently. There was one that, because they retweeted it out, the blog has gotten... In fact, I don't believe they just got... I don't believe it got the most views ever. I believe it got more views than all other articles combined, which is really wonderful. The more recent article, I'll be honest, I'm not as happy with. One, because of the length, but number two, I think there are a couple of other objections that you can make to sort of one of the points that I make. I think I go a little bit too much into speculation, and I could have been more clear on some things. I think it's still okay. You guys got to see me write some of it on stream, but that didn't go as well as I was hoping. But as always, if you like that sort of thing, you can go to systemchalk.ca and you can let me know what you think, because I do like it when people read them, and I do like it when people engage with them. We've got Martin Narukar, UI design and coding. Martin Narukar does have Nowhere Profit. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It is a really fun little sort of roguelike card game, sort of like FTL meets Hearthstone. Excuse me. Art by Catherine Unger, Clockwork Cuckoo, an ever-increasing amount by Lottie Bevan and Sarah Gordon. We've got music by Maribeth Solomon, Brent Barkman, Mickey Erb for Mickey Marr Productions Limited, good Canadians, at least one of them. Audio by Soundcuts, additional writing by Lottie Bevan, additional coding, Fraser McCormick and Chris Payne, additional design by Callan Porter. Special thanks to Sonia and PK, Matt Hosty, Haley Urias, and literally everyone who has ever sent feedback or a bug report. Thank you. And thank you, Captain Shield. There's going to be one more of those just to get me started. I'm going to sneeze out the dancing animal, and then we'll make some progress. And I want to talk a little bit about where I'm at, and one of the things that has actually made me a bad Cultist Simulator player. It's a tendency that I have for a lot of games. Maybe I don't need to sneeze. It's a tendency that I have for a lot of games, and it's not serving me well with a living game like Cultist Sim. So here we are. I'm not going to do a review of what we're up to quite yet. But one of the things that I think, so it's one thing for me to say that I've been particularly chatty. Oh, by the way, I did buy a new mouse. I don't think I got much of a Black Friday deal. The only catch is that it's not coming until December the 6th, and I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem come Friday. But you don't get to hear about what happens Friday until later. But yeah, one of the things that I think is not serving me well is that, and this has been true for a long time, I just think it's become particularly clear in the Dancer, is that I have a tendency to get very set in my ways with certain games, just generally how games work. So, to give you an example of what I mean, is there were certain things that I would do in the early alpha and beta of Cultist Simulator, and they would be maybe not dominant strategies for that particular time, but they would definitely be ones that helped me overcome issues that I was running into during the game. And this will be true for most games. You know, you figure out the best way to do things, and then you continue to follow through, basically. Unfortunately, this vitality will be gone by the time that I can use it. What a shame. Yes, actually, it's basically a new model of the same mouse that I have. I'm never crazy when equipment sort of is perfectly workable, save for one thing. In this case, it's the scroll wheel. But I much prefer this mouse to the others that I've had. So I've currently got a SteelSeries Sensei Frost Blue, or I guess it's Sensei Raw. Anyways, I'm basically getting I think it's just another one of those. It's something very similar to it anyway. So I'll give SteelSeries one more shot, and if the mouse wheel doesn't last, then I'll consider a new brand. But yeah, anyways. So one of the challenges that I run into is I get very set in my ways. You know, I find something that works well for me for playing the game, and I stick to it. And this is true even over patches. I have certain ways of just doing things. And as much as I love experimenting with games, as much as I love trying new things, I definitely get fixed into certain patterns. And that is particularly bad for Cultist Simulator because there's been quite a few changes in terms of the way that expeditions and such work, and it's harder to lose followers and such. And I've not really been taking advantage of that. And basically, it's because of sort of a certain conservatism that I have in terms of my play. So I'm going to try and get over it. I am going to try and do some more of these expeditions. Although, again, the fact that your followers don't immediately die does not really mean that expeditions become easier. It just means that the penalty for not succeeding is lower. But I think I'm gonna try something. I think I'm gonna try some expeditions once I have a group of people that I think will do the job. I'm also looking for Kershim, where I can do my little Viper thing, but to do that I need to go through the Mansis. So we're 10 minutes in. Let's do a brief review of what we are doing at the moment, where we stand as far as our different occupations and our different activities are concerned, and we'll work out a little bit of a game plan for the next few rounds. So we've got the Weary Detective. I currently have 2 notoriety after me, and I do not currently have the Season of Suspicion coming on me. So there's sort of the question as to whether or not I want to worry about the notoriety or not. I'm still on the fence, to be completely honest with you. You notice I've been digesting my books pretty efficiently, so I'm going to have the study slot available soon, and that'll be particularly good because I do need to start upgrading my lore. I currently do not have the what must open before the way opens. I do not believe it is any of these three pieces of lore. I am trying to move up a few of my different followers. I'm also trying to gain more followers, but these things take time. I've lost my two followers, and I've got some commissions finished, but I've been working the whole time. So we will... Well, actually, sorry, it's not so much working so much as I haven't been talking with them because I've been trying to upgrade people. But I think what I'm going to wind up doing, I'm going to make sure the Contract of the Gaiety keeps going. I'm going to get through the remaining books. We've got the Orchid Transfigurations and Dehoris. The only way I'll be getting more books is by doing expeditions, and the way that I can do expeditions is by making sure that I find people. So the way I'm going to accomplish that is by, first of all, upgrading at least a few more people to disciples. Then I'm going to be using my lore to talk about the forbidden things. And in the meantime, that should sort of get me through my books, and I can either try upgrading some of my lore, such as the Watchman's Secret or the Smith's Secret, or alternatively, I will start going through some of these areas. By the way, for those of you who are interested in this game, there was a very interesting discussion about how rituals will be working in the future. I think some of them might even be on the beta branch right now, but I was planning on doing the beta branch when I finished this. So filibustering is done. We will now unpause the game. Let's go to the streets. Okay, streets. Never mind. Okay, I actually want to pick up the occult scrap, and the reason for that is I haven't actually exhausted all my locations here, so we will grab the occult scrap. Secret histories layered beneath the one that we know, like notes in a rare wine. This is a detail from one of those histories. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the capital. All right. So I walked in the wood last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and the furred things crammed my mouth and swarmed my ears. I felt the old urge to drop to wolf fours and nose among the roots, but I remembered that I walk upright by day, and I know fire and steel and words, and at last I found where the velvet had concealed a secret on tree bark beneath moss. I read it, then with the tips of my fingers. I read it then with the tips of my fingers. I think that I could now write it in full. It's a nice little bit of lore to go to take care of us. I was originally going to... You know what? I'm still going to do the streets. So streets are strange in the hour called the Menascate. Now this may wind up costing me. Let's get my passion out. We've got the way wood. I think I'm going to do one more wood journey. It doesn't hurt if I get extra level 1 expeditions, because fairly soon I should be able to, to get a team together and do something interesting. Okay. Oh, this is... yes, okay. My bad. This was Leo doing his thing. The standards of Daylight Society cannot apply to us, but perhaps we won't emphasize that point. Perhaps we'll rely on charm and good humor. I have supplied eloquent platitudes about the high principles of our organization. Okay, and I have finished my manuscript, so I want to make sure I go back to my day job. We use some health. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Sorry, what's interesting? What was something interesting, Captain Shield? I'm sorry, I've missed... I know you're responding to something that I said, but I missed the context. Visions pass me with a pavane grace, a window over wood, a garden of ice, a shivering sun, a woman of glass. I will return home reluctantly. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. So this is a bit of a problem. Of course, if I can find something to put moth in, fascination becomes less of a problem, and I believe fleeting remembrances will now also deal with this. So I'm going to do Strange Streets by Moonlight again, just in hopes of getting something a little bit better. Of course, I might just wind up with another fascination and then the wrong season hits me. I don't really want to have to use money to heal myself, but I'm willing to if it comes down to that. Alright, so we've got translation of the Orchid Transfigurations Volume 1, A Feast, the first volume, a compilation of quasi-Rosicrucian allegories, supposedly by Robert Flood. This is a later English translation. I know because I translated it myself. Oh, did I already translate this? Second volume. Alright, there you go. Okay, well, they're all translated. Fair enough. I might as well just get reading. The illustrations are certainly striking. They flush the skin and glow beneath the eyelids after the book is closed. But who's them? No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. So I've got a peculiar rumor. I can use that to my advantage. So I always take this as sort of I'm failing in my charm offensive, and what's happening is more people are becoming aware of the. Oh no, it's totally fine, Captain Shield. I hope your application to school went well, by the way. So with the with that charm offensive, it might have failed, but of course the peculiar rumor going around, this might lead to someone I need, or it might mean something else entirely. Explore with a rumor to follow up on it. I always sort of take this as, the wrong sort of people, wrong in scare quotes, are sort of paying attention after that performance. So, Some days are better than others. Some days the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. Alright. So, talking. Let's get some upgrades done still. So I should probably have at least one big... I should have at least like one upgrade of each kind of style. So in this case, we'll move Tristan up. And we'll use the Waking Chant. And technically I don't need to be that aggressive, but I want to, so... Where did my... Oh, here we go. Oh, fair enough. Well, I hope you get it. I hope you get it. I hope it goes well for you. While I was returning to the depths, one appeared in front of my eyes, whose mouth was sealed. When I saw them in the great emptiness, I cried out. I think that last night I met another soul in the wood. I will never recall exactly what we said, one to another, but I think that we will recognize each other in the waking world. So this gives me two rumors. The drawback about this, of course, is that it's going to come in, there's going to be a cost in the form of quite a bit of notoriety. I might be able to paint that away. But in the meantime, okay, visions pass. Oh, we've done this as well. And I've got glimmering now, so... what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to start following up on these rumors. So this is the older of the two. So I'm going to have 4 notoriety by the end of this. Now I can turn this into paintings, which is good, but there'll potentially be other costs. I think at this moment, how do I want to handle the current situation? I think I'm going to make an effort and pay for my medicine on healing. So my reasoning behind this is that I will get some restlessness. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I commit myself more. Sorry, if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. So in this case, we'll throw passion on the fire. I am more than a lissome package of flesh and blood. Tonight they'll notice that. So basically, the restlessness may turn to dread, which will allow me to get rid of the fascination, or if it comes down to it, I'll just take the fleeting remembrance. So I have a few options available to me in terms of how I can deal with the fascination. So I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer, a little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. So let's toss the money aside. And in this case, I think it's going to take me a while to follow up on the rumor. So let's say, you know what, we'll just take another contract at the Gaiety. We'll see what happens. I think after the next dance, I'll take some restlessness and maybe I'll paint it away. I also have a feeling that if I go to the Ecdysis Club, I'll probably make more money. But I don't know for sure. I also have, I think it's Yaspet. Here we go. We must devour to be devoured. We cannot be undevoured, as we cannot be unborn. So I have some ideas about what I'm going to do with this glimmering. We've got the red secret. Some words are spelt correctly only when the proper ink is used. So I want to see if I can start combining these glimmerings in meaningful ways. So for now I've got time, so in this case I'm going to read the other Grail book. Flood or pseudo-flood suggests alignments between the alchemical tradition of Rubidoux and the other Grail traditions, through the Pine Knight's quest for the Cinnabar Cup. Looks like we miss out on that rumor, so I didn't plan that out properly. I know there's ways that I can cheese it, but I'm not going to. So, we cede our mouths to the thunder, we cede our feet to the dance, we cede our skins to the night. We do not cease, we do not cease, we do not cease. Tristan will do what's necessary to create. Sometimes one must first destroy. Okay, let's take a minute here, and I'm going to fulfill these commissions. So that's going to mean that I don't get the opportunity to upgrade some of these followers, but them's the breaks. Okay, so more notoriety. So in this case, I only have 3. And Rose. Rose is a Slimus, and she recognizes you as someone uncommon. You might be able to recruit this acquaintance as a follower. Sick room glows close and stale. Time to get up. So we'll go back to the Land of Dream, and we will specifically go to the wood. And again, the main reason for this is so I can follow through on... Oops. The main reason for this is so I can follow through on the... on some of the other occult scraps. I believe we get the sort of the one you keep getting after you're done with your scraps, but a place in the city where I can find extraordinary things if I sift through the clues of history and rumor. All right, so we've got another opportunity. I don't have the ability. I don't have restlessness yet, so I will use my passion again for that. All right, I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let some tantalizing information slip. So, Bronze Spintrea, more glimmering, which is good. This is going to be something that I can try and do an upgrade. It's going to be particularly difficult to get the fevered imagination up, so I kind of want to make sure all my ducks are in a row. But for now, we will take Dr. Adim, and we will fulfill this commission. All right. Afterward, I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. A little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. So, more money. Obviously, a lot of this is more preliminary. There's not a whole lot that I'm doing that I haven't already done here. I think I'm going to try this contract and just see what I can get away with it. So purpose, oh, my purpose is actually already locked away. I wonder if that's a requirement. What of myself shall I commit? So oh, this will be interesting. So this is a fancy way that I can get rid of the fascination. Neat. The air is a shiver. My companions on the stage are electric slashes of flesh and velvet. Mr. Agdistus drums pound. We begin. Course of the heart. Whenever the principle of the heart is implicated, I may gain vitality. I received currency from the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So this will be a really good time for me to start trying to paint. And then Count Jennings, again, similar idea. We will fulfill our commission. This doesn't really pay the bills, but it does give me an opportunity to get some more commissions done. So, and then once these are done, of course, I'll be upgrading at least one lantern, and I really only have one moth right now. So, Iron Spintrea, I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So, now is a particularly good time for me to try the erudition. So let's just take a minute there. I've still got my study underway, so let's go for... I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to upgrade each of my followers first, and then I'm going to worry about bringing new people in, because the idea here is that some of the lower level expeditions I should be able to get by with some higher level followers, and then you know, if I feel that I'm going to need sort of reinforcement for something, I might be able to queue people up in time depending on the order of things. So let's take good old Pope Clifton and turn him into something else. Now Clifton improvises his prayers rich with solar metaphors. He still shouts like a soldier and drinks like a sailor. And in this case, we'll just take the thunder. Oh, nope, not enough words that walk. There we go. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. Obviously, if I'm short on help, and in fact it's highly recommended to bring the forces of the other world with you, but in this particular case, I have... I don't know. I have some things that I can do to summon, but I haven't quite gotten to a point where I basically think my ranks are a little bit thin. So once we once we deal with that, I should be okay. It also doesn't help that the locksmith's secret is the only Nock lore that I have. Now, obviously, Enid is a bit of an improvement as well, but my own heart pumps more strongly today. All right, well, just as well that I didn't, that I got rid of that fascination. The sun flickers like a shadow. Dreams ripple behind the surface of mirrors. I must be careful not to drift from the waking world. So, of course, this is a fairly important lesson here. Had I been waiting for the fascination to be eliminated through turning the restlessness into dread, I would have suffered the effects. Okay, so it looks like the season of suspicion is coming up on us. There's really no good way to manage this, to be completely honest. I have got a bunch of notoriety. I've got 3 mystique. Well, we'll see what painting gets me. Seek the cup in the birthing bed, the Pine Knight is told. The midwife at the birthing bed, to his amazement, is the Mountain Mother. In a fit of awe, he both gelds and flays himself. The vigilant storm bursts joyfully from the remains. So we've got the Megalesian incantation, the Great Mother Remembers. This will give me an opportunity to upgrade the Grail lore if I need to, but for now we'll settle for Dehoris. And of course the important thing here is that I'll also be able to get my Sanskrit reader read. Oh, this is one thing I was meaning to do. So my scholarship I can upgrade with 3, so I'll be able to combine these erudition, but the first thing I actually want to do is I want to try and combine these glimmering. So this will mean my studies are on hold a little bit, but I'm actually going to make an effort to try and get my fevered imagination built up. Okay, we've got another peculiar rumor. Now this won't necessarily serve me well, but it is a great way for me to get more people. It's less costly in time, and that's exactly what I need right now. So I won't read the text again, seeing as I just read that not too long ago. So, and secret places in the city. Yep, the Forsaken Reach. I believe that is the last of the first tier one. I can always take another look, but for now we'll track down a rumor, and I think I'm gonna go back to the wood. Thing is, even if I get these rumors, it still sort of helps me. So. The musicians close with a flourish. Some of the audience start as if waking from sleep. Others applaud. One forces his way through the crowd to the exit, face down. There's always one. As we skip from the stage, Mr. Agdistus winks, and here is Suluchana, with her clever hands to bandage those of us who went too far. So more mystique might be my saving grace here. So Agdistus Club is closed. I thought I had it in a different place. Well, I'll put it here. It's my contract. Yeah, so I mean, it's like a good night at the Gaiety, really. So if I paint, this might be a bit of a risk, but let's give it a shot. So in this case, this is enough to consume all of my notoriety, which is good. Unfortunately, I will have 3 mystique to put towards it, which might be a problem, especially given the fact that I have to go to the Gaiety. But we'll see if whether or not I can make this work. It's going to be a little touch and go, but it may turn out all right. So we cede our mouths to the thunder, we cede our feet to the dance, we cede our skins to the night, we do not cease, we do not cease, we do not cease. All right. Clifton's devotions have grown complex. His eyes have grown wide and shining. His voice has become even louder. Sylvia, you're up next, although it's going to be a little dangerous with you, seeing as you've already got your first wound. Ooh, apparently I need more for her. Oh, she's already a disciple. I am an idiot. Well, it's not the worst thing in the world. So this is the big thing, Captain Shield. I would find it hard. There must be people for who this is true, but I don't think it's a bad thing when it is not the end of the world if bad things happen in Cultist Simulator. It's the opposite of the end of the world. When Cultist Simulator goes against you, so there's, I think, 2 phases to playing this game. The first is when you're trying to figure everything out, and at that point, bad things happening can be fatal. And I mean, you've seen how often I've died to things like a Fascination or Dread ending or something like that. And over time, you practice and you come up with different ideas and ways of dealing with things, and you learn kind of the secrets of the game, and you get better and you win eventually. And so then once you become comfortable with the game, it's not always the worst thing in the world when something bad happens, because then it gives you an interesting little problem that you have to deal with. It's one of the big reasons why I'm so strict on the backseating in that. I mean, one, probably I'm just too neurotic, but the more important thing is that if people just tell you how to play the game, you don't get to have those experiences of messing around and seeing how things work. And that's a really big part about playing games for me. Now, the interesting thing is that I think the priest legacy is the next one coming up, and apparently that one is supposed to be a little bit more for sort of the experienced players, and apparently that's going to be a fairly difficult one. So I like the fact that the game's going to be a bit of discovery again. And I mean, certainly the Dancer is that experience for me right now. I just want to take a quick second and make sure the tweet went out. I'm just noticing that people watching is a little bit lower than I remember, or than I'm used to on Cultist Simulator, but I didn't do it last week, and I think people are getting a little sick of me not making progress, so I don't blame them, but I do also want to make sure that I let people know. But yep, we went out, so that's good. So yeah, that's the main driver behind it, and I think Cultist Simulator is a good game that rewards those kinds of inclinations. I think it's why people keep playing it and why they have so much time in the game. So Yazbet has always been comfortable in moonlight. She has excellent night vision. She is often overlooked in daylight. I don't know. All right. I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. We're gonna definitely be rushing to make curtain, but I think we'll make it. We've got a few things going on here, so more fleeting remembrances, old unhappy far off things, so that's gonna turn into some restlessness. I fed my imagination, so we've gained another lesson learnt. There are more windows in my soul, but sunlight is not the only thing that passes through a window. Use this lesson learnt with your imagination skill. Now, the big thing that I want to do is get as many glimmerings, and specifically glimmering lesson learnts, as I can. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to preserve this glimmering by studying my passion. I don't know, I'm perfectly happy. Even if nobody were to be chatting in the broadcast, I should still keep going. If anything, I should make more progress. Yeah, it's my job to entertain whoever is here. It's not your job to talk with me. So, and I know you're feeling kind of tired, so if you just want to hang out for a bit, I can definitely monologue. All right, the ceremony is resident as thunder in a church. I know it well. I wrote it myself. So Yazbet is another moth. And again, I'll be upgrading these people when I can, but I do want to sort of get through my existing backlog. All right, on we go. All right, there's another occult scrap again. This might be a bit of a waste, but we'll see. unpromising address, but a promising resident. So we found Alcaire. Alcaire has a scholarly aspect and a morbid streak. You might be able to recruit this acquaintance as a follower. So the person we're recruiting, by the way, Rose is a Slimus, and she recognizes you as someone uncommon. I also forgot to do the upgrade. Yazbet sleeps in fits and starts. She rises at dusk to do things that a Yazbet does. Actually, given the fact this is Anne, maybe it's Isabet? Isabet? And Isabet would make more sense. My recent work has accrued modest fame, so this is definitely going to give the detective something to think about. And we're definitely doing well for ourselves as far as money goes. Alright, so gotta make curtain. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Let's throw the occult scraps straight into exploration and see what we've got. There are places in the city where I can find extraordinary things if I can sift the clues out of history and rumor. Now, I'm not ignoring the studies here. The big thing is I want to see whether or not I can push up that fevered imagination or not. It's going to take quite a bit. I might wind up wasting some of my tools, but it's one of my better shots, so I'm going to go for it. Half-glimpsed wistfulness has touched me, so I have an idea about how to deal with that. Okay, so the ceremony is resonant as thunder in a church. I know it well, I wrote it myself. And we've got Rose. Rose is a Slimus, but loyal. So, an ever-important edge follower. And this is a great opportunity for me to get rid of my restlessness. So what I will do here is I will take the Temple Unceasing, and I want to upgrade Rose, so there's my associate. It's always important to keep your influences in mind, so a restless longing has me. I feel that I want to do something, but what exactly? So, because of course we are the Temple Unceasing, I will take my restlessness and I will turn it into dance. How do you do, Domi? Great to see you. Ragnus actually just said, "Hey, where's Domi?" So I was late starting though, so I don't think I can blame anybody for not being around. So my follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. Oh dear, Domi, what happened? Is it school related? Alright, so as it turns out, I didn't need to give up the restlessness, but you never know. So in this case, we'll just use our passion. I could actually, you know what? I'm gonna put the health in for the extra. I'm a lissome package of flesh and blood. Okay, we've read sentimental literature, so I've got some glimmering with only 8 seconds left, but before I do anything, I've got... I need something more. So, if I know the right lore, I can employ the invisible arts to reach an even higher summit. I must choose between unreason and folly. Okay. So I'm gonna have two of the lessons learned. I need to get one more. I might be able to pull it off. Alright, I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So, I really put my heart into that, so... And let's go painting again. So as before, we'll take our notoriety. See, it's a little tempting to let this one run out. Um, Actually, I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to... Okay, so 28 seconds. You know what? I'm not going to get fancy. Alright, now as far as inspiration is concerned, I gotta think a little bit about that. Let's do a painting of... Who do I like? I don't know which one of these people is one of my favorite. You know what? I can never go wrong with Nock. But then I should do a portrait of... You know what? Leo. I'm gonna do a portrait of Leo, and this is because Leo is the highest rank of heart. So, anyways, very hectic. Oh. Wait, Freudian slip? Sorry, did I missed, I think I missed something. Anyways, it looks like hectic week, literally one assignment or test every day this week. That, I remember that, and I did not like it, and I wish it were not so. But you're halfway there, you've made it. I hope you get a chance. I don't know. So I don't know if you're all set up and ready to go for tomorrow. If you're not, a little bit of advice from when I was in grad school. I spent a lot of time on Twitch, and I thought I was getting work done, but I really wasn't. And one of the features of that was chat. So I love having you in here, Domi. And I am going to trust you to take care of yourself. But if you have some work that needs to be done, I will definitely give you a little bit of a push, especially because I know you have a lot of talent, and I would love to see that recognized in your scores. And I'm not just saying that because you have spoken about your subjects, and you clearly know them well, and you clearly have a passion for them. If there's anything that you think should be done for tomorrow that isn't done yet, I will give you a small encouragement to make an effort to put that away so you can just straight up enjoy the stream for later. If you're all squared away for tomorrow, congratulations, you have earned yourself some rest, and I encourage you, and I'm gonna love having you here. And if you just need a minute away from the stress, definitely hang out as well. I trust you to be able to make the best decisions for yourself, but this thing really is a time sink, and Twitch has built it that way. So I also want to make sure that, you are, as much as I like saying a concurrent view is a concurrent view, you are people. You all have your passions and your talents, and I want to make sure that those are nurtured as well. So there is my effort to be as thoughtful and encouraging as I can on these things. So what else do we have here? Chuck, are you going to show us how to conjure animals? You still have no idea how to do that. Oh, well, I got this Viper out of dancing at the Ecdysis Club, Ragnus Domi. I think that was, I know you prefer just being called Domi. I think that was 2 streams ago. Anyways, I'm going to be particularly interested to see how I get this thing up to the next level. That's going to be my goal by the end of it. So. Ragnus just said, "Where's Domi?" Oh, sorry. Captain Shield said, "That's my bad." Yes, that is definitely not what I said, but I'd be delighted if that was your passion, but the biggest thing, even when I worked in movies, I was very passionate about movies, and I liked watching them. But one of the reasons why I ultimately left was because the amount of time that I was spending working on them. I did not take any vacations. The only time that I took off was when there was a strike, and there was literally no option to work. And I was very unhappy because I had wrapped so much of myself, kind of the definition of myself, and a lot of my everything that I had sort of done was with this making movies thing in mind. And so it's one of the reasons why I'm a little conscious about this sort of single-minded devotion to things. And the biggest thing is that entertainment products are really not deserving of sort of your dedication, heart, and soul, because the subjects of good drama are people, and you are far more interesting than anything on a page. It just happens that the page or the game highlights the really action-packed bits, and it distills it down to its most exciting elements. But one of the reasons it works, of course, is the fact that you have something of yourself that's being brought out of it. You're relating to it in some way, and so it's always good to keep that in mind. Anyways, we've got the well and the Temple of the Wheel. Let's go to the Temple of the Wheel. Trembling airs. The toes tap, all is brisk and well. Second-order influence, apparent to the perceptive, instantly recognizable to the adept. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. In the wood beyond the walls of the mantis, a jagged rock rears like the petrified remnants of a dancing giant. I trailed my hand along its flank, over the eye signs and lichen and crude graffiti of the lesser wood powers. I felt the thrumming of the wheel which had passed. It has passed, but something continues. So I know there's a way to upgrade this, but I may not have the resources available to me to really make something of it. I also have a really tough decision ahead of me, so... Oh, nope, it's not a tough decision at all, because I'll lose both Erudition. Should have checked my library card, but I didn't, so... I think I'm going to go back to the wood, to be honest. I know it's not the most exciting choice, but I'm doing it anyway. Alright, so we've got the Forsaken Reach, all good, so that'll be the last time I go to the woods for a bit. And as far as exploration, I don't have any, I really don't have anything else to do there at the moment. Oh, Twitch is skipping some? I'm sorry, Domi. Looks like it's okay on my side, but if you guys are noticing this is a regular thing, let me know, and I can try flipping the server. I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. No point in wasting that, so we'll move on. Okay. We seat our mouths to the thunder, we seat our feet to the dance, we seat our skins to the night. We do not cease, we do not cease, we do not cease. Rose has sharpened her cunning into a concentrated point. Alright, so I think if I'm going to start going on expeditions, now is the time. Well, you know what, Alcair is going to give me that winter, I believe. So maybe one more, and then for real we're going to go on we're going to start going on these expeditions. This is, of course, a little bit of trouble that I run into now is there's always going to be another reason to skip the task, but... Well, I never like blaming people for their connections, Domi, but it is I do appreciate it when people let me know, because if there's something I can do to improve it, I want to do it, so... Finished. Competent work. Nothing to be ashamed of. Despair! Dark days. I must be careful not to let doubts creep in. Dread may provide full-fledged despair. My latest paintings have reviewed well. Alright, so we've got Leo here. We've got a ton of Mystique. I've got the extra Glimmering, which is one of the things I was going for. Oh, wait a minute. That was the Mystique that I fed into it, so... that's less exciting. Again, a lot of money. So the real question now is whether or not I want to let the timer run down. What do we have? 67 seconds? I think I'm actually going to try one more painting, and that's just so I can use the Trembling Airs. So... Oh, I didn't realize it. It's 9:25 for me, so we're actually just slightly... Oh, wait a minute. You mean Captain Shield, not... Yeah. It's only an hour. I'm like, wait a minute. I found somewhere unusual. Wait a minute. You're a moth. All right. This never goes well for me, but actually that's not true at all. This is frequently gone well for me, but not that you always remember the bad ones. Sometimes in the light of the moon is key to other spaces. I found a place where for a night or two the streets curve in unfamiliar ways. If I walk here, I might find insight, or I might be touched by madness. Nope. And here we go. So we've got another lesson learned glimmering. I'm going to preserve the one that's expiring. We'll double this up. Alright. The ceremony is resonant as thunder in a church. I know it well. I wrote it myself. Okair was winter, so Okair is quiet, meticulous, and remorseless. So we will upgrade him further. I mean, we've fleshed it out. These are all the people in the cult, plus the one who we're upgrading. Hey, we'll get an occult scrap just for old time's sake. Probably not the smartest move I could have made, to be honest, but unfortunately the text is still grayed out. So let's go straight into the white door. I don't see any other reason for me to do my my dream at the moment. So we will ascend. I believe that's heart. It is. And the hope here, of course, is that we'll be getting Kereshim. So one of the tricks here, Domi, I believe, is... So one, I think the expeditions have been reworked so that they give some more consistent drops. And you'll notice that I'm kind of at the end of my books. More importantly, I've got a disciple of almost each discipline. And at least in terms of the... In terms of the level 1 obstacles, I have a feeling that I'm probably a little bit over-prepared for those. So I'm also generally just trying to be a little less cautious in the way that I play the game. I talked about that a little bit, where I have a way of playing the game from sort of the beta and all the time that I spent in the base one. And that's fine. I mean, that's just kind of how games wind up working. You sort of develop your strategy, you have fun with it, you play the way that you want to play. But it has sort of translated into, in addition to the fact that I'm very chatty, it's translated into the fact that some streams have just generally not had that much happen. And the fact of the matter is it's not that bad if something bad does happen. Like, what, you know, one of my characters winds up with a wound. That's not the worst thing in the world to happen at the moment. I'll maybe be a little cautious when, you know, going to the 3rd tier, but we're well off from that. So in this case, I'm combined. It's the combined influence of not having a lot of resources in terms of like things for me to study, as well as feeling that the existing resources I have are capable of handling most of these locations. That's largely what's driving me here. Johnny Big Time, you excellent person. How you doing? Oh, this is just some, you know, it's a little, it's kind of, it's the Magic the Gathering of card games. Hey, Brandoman 2014, how you doing? All right, I can spend money. Yeah, we've already got that, so let's carry on. Again, we'll kind of be rushing to make curtain, but we should be okay. So I was playing Stellaris a little bit earlier today, not at work, but I had a little bit of time just after while I was waiting for somebody to get back to me on a job application thing that I was doing. But visions pass me with pavane grace, a window over wood, a garden of ice, a shivering sun, a woman of glass. I will return home reluctantly. I'm going to go again. I think the one drawback here is there's not a lot of things for me to really get. I think this is mostly harmful to me at this point. But I kind of want to explore. I just want to do more stuff, to be totally honest. So What was I saying? Anyways, I like Stellaris a lot. Doesn't work well because I don't have my mouse wheel, but you're good. Thank you for asking. How are you? You have this game. Still trying to figure it out. Well, if you have any questions, so there's two things I'll say here, Brandon Man. I don't know if you saw the pseudo tutorial that I put on YouTube, but I've been getting some very warm feedback on that. If you don't want anything like a spoiler, that's a great place to start. But I think you also, there was somebody saying something about summons. Oh yeah, you feel guilty and low-key desperate when cult members die. Well, this was one of the big things that they changed in this patch. So I've actually already had somebody who got the, who got a scar. So they've lowered the cost of quote-unquote failing expeditions. And I think a lot of the changes in the game are sort of designed to reduce the grind in certain passages. So it's one of the reasons why I'm trying to rush people through. Although I say rush, I've got multiple streams of me just sort of sitting around researching every book that I have. So, but yeah, so one of the things I will say, Brandon Man, is that like the exploration of the game is really the thing that makes it. I like it when things go wrong because it just gives you stories to tell and things to work through in the game, and I think that makes it fun. But if you do have any questions when you're saying that you want to get things trying to figure it out, I'm a little unique in the sense that I don't immediately see that as an invitation to start telling you how to play the game. But if that was you sort of saying is, you know, if that's sort of you saying, I would like a few pointers in terms of how to get things done, and you don't want to infer from what I'm doing inside of the game here, if there's something that you'd like to know, or if there's something you'd like me to talk about, definitely let me know, and I will do my best to accommodate, because I think there's ways of talking about this game that don't, that sort of preserve some of the fun and the mystery without immediately like telling people, well, here's what the, you know, the solution to the Stagdor riddle is, and so on and so forth. All right, I gotta go to the Gaiety, so we will toss our health in. Thank you, Brandon Man. Yeah, like I said, it's one of the more warmer received things that I've done. This is the funny thing. Like, if I wanted to become a bigger caster, maybe not tonight, but in general, the clear choice would have been to, okay, got to be careful about the despair. The clear choice would have been to focus on Cultist Simulator. I think the time has sort of passed a little bit for that now, but it's pretty obvious to see just from the metric. Like, to give you guys an example, the Elder Scrolls stuff that I do has I think 20% of all of the footage that I have recorded for that has ever been seen by a human being on YouTube. I don't even have like a 1-to-1 ratio of what's been recorded. On Twitch, those numbers are a little bit better, but they also don't break it down by the hour. I would say that for every hour that there has been that thing going on, there has been a human being watching it. There are no like unseen bits, with the exception of like maybe the opening. But the thing is that the people who like it really like it. Hey Sean, how you doing? So it's sort of this idea in terms of what you optimize on. I don't do this for a living, so I don't need to worry about maximizing the view count or something like that. But Cultist Simulator has this really nice little intersection of something weird and unknown that dropped pretty much in my lap. If you guys really want to know, we were talking about Stellaris earlier. The whole reason I checked that thing out was because Alexis Kennedy responded to a tweet where I mentioned the horizon signal, and I just happened to, reply back, and, it just so happens he talked about Cultist Simulator at the time, so I checked it out, and I really liked the early alpha, and that was that. I kind of wound up going down this very strange path. Oh, hey, I've got another glimmering. I completely did not need to use that essay, and I feel like a fool. Oh, well, that's what I get. So this is one of the reasons why I wrote that finding your next hidden gem, which, by the way, if you haven't taken a look at Sean's website, you really should, because there's a lot of fun games on there, or at the very least interesting games. Actually, Sean, I think you've convinced me to try something in Bitsy. Now I would want to know what Sean said that's interesting too. I'm struggling. Sorry guys, I'm a little distracted. But yeah, anyways, so the trick on this is that I do tend to respond a little bit more to things that people really like. So the fact that people really like the Elder Scrolls stuff makes me want to do it. The fact that I got so many nice words about the Cultist Simulator stuff made me want to do it. But there's a couple of secrets. Like, if you want to become partner on Twitch, basically when you're on the brink, you play a lot of Dark Souls, because there's always an audience for Dark Souls, and it will bump up your viewers. You'll get your existing viewers plus the subset of people who only watch Dark Souls streams, and because your existing viewers move you up the rankings, people are going to go to one of the things that are near the top. That has been true. That's also true of Resident Evil. So those are the ways that you game the system. And that's, if you want to get big and you happen to be somebody who's caught a game that wound up becoming a lot more popular than anyone was expecting, if you kind of go and make that your main thing, your channel grows very, very rapidly. But if you do that, then you also potentially cut yourself from the other things that you find interesting. And that would mean that I don't get to do things like Battlefield 5. And there's a couple of really fun things that are coming out, which I haven't talked about yet. But I think you'll enjoy. So there's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes thing in terms of what happened with Cultist Simulator here. Commenting on the Scars of the Cultist, you haven't played since this DLC. This DLC is really neat, Sean, and I encourage you actually, so if you're looking for some reasons to get back into this game, I think it's on Lottie's YouTube. I'm pretty sure if you go to the Weather Factory Twitter, you'll see this. The most recent dev stream that they did on Kickstarter, they talk a little bit about some of the changes that they're doing to overcome some of the grindy bits, as well as reworking some of the rituals, because you don't want to lose certain items, and so as a result they basically want to alter people's behaviors in ways that make the game a little bit more fun to play. But the scars are a big one, so you don't get shafted for trying an expedition unprepared. And I'm really bad because I am very conservative from playing the beta and playing this, but it is completely set up so that you should be doing expeditions a lot earlier. Where else are we? I think I'll just quickly catch up with chat and carry on. Did you wind up getting the Perpetual Edition? If not, Sean, if you didn't, then let me know. What else did we say? Domi said, agreed, some games can be very unpleasant until you learn how to play, but Cultist Simulator... Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, Cultist Simulator's not for everyone, but it definitely tickled me in the spot of... I didn't have what... So I may not have had all the information that I needed, but I felt... Oh, sorry, I forgot to read Olkera. Olkera rarely speaks. She chooses her words with care. Even her movements have become economical. She never seems to blink. God damn it, why can't I keep one thing in mind? Yeah, so Cultist Simulator it just dangled enough in front of me that I wanted to keep going, even if I didn't really feel like I had a firm grasp on what I needed. Okay, so the Mithraeum, I have a feeling it'll probably be something a little more knock that I need, and maybe we'll bring Lantern as well, which are probably two of my favorite aspects. Actually, you know what, that's not true. I like Heart a lot more now. So okay, a few more people. We got Suspense. Do you have a game website? Yes, actually, and it's on your favorite website, Domi. Let me just take a second here. I'll read out the text and then I'll put the link inside. K5, how you doing? Excellent to see you again. Chaku's being so sneaky about his upcoming things. Stop making... I've got so many upcoming things, although I did send you a Twitter message with a quick preview of something, if you're interested. Yeah, if Sean doesn't link his website, I will put it in chat in just a moment. Okay, I'm caught up. I'm convinced the Mithraeum still holds secrets and its discoveries never found. It's unlikely to be dangerous, but the search will require funds. Expeditions need at least 1 funds per obstacle. Followers will defeat obstacles. If you run out of funds or followers, your expedition ends. Sean, one thing I did want to draw your attention to, so you'll notice this little guy is a Viper. So we are playing the Dancer, which you probably already figured out from the bottom corner. So we do have a contract at the Ecdysis Club, and we're carrying on as a dancer, the thing that you used to get contentment from. Okay, let me see if I can find... By the way, I actually kind of feel a little bad about this because I have no idea if Sean just wants to come in and like enjoy a stream and not have all of his attention, all this attention brought to him. But I encourage all of you to check out that site. Incidentally, Sean, if you know of anybody else who... Wait, there was that Eye of Ra game. Eye of Ra. Is this the one? Yes. That was another one that was showcased at Dirty Rectangles. And I know Hot Sauce Bread was there, but I don't think their card fighter game has a itch page yet. I'm not exactly new, but I don't 100% know everyone from memory here yet. But anyways, for those of you who don't know, I've met Sean at a local game dev collective, which is held in this really cool bar in Ottawa. A lot of very interesting people there. They're very tolerant of the fact that I am a foreigner. If anything, I'm an overly enthusiastic player of games and occasional streamer of weird and wonderful games. I don't think I've done any. It used to be called Hexagon Falls. It's Eric, I think. I have his Twitter. I really like playing that when he demoed it when it was still called Hexagon Falls. That is one I definitely want to do as well. Anyways, Sean gives these absolutely legendary sort of demos of this thing that he's been working on the month. I think definitely a real MMO is still one of my favorites, and I think it's largely because of the audience reaction to playing that. But this is one of these things. I know a couple of you. I'm not going to specifically isolate people here, but I know a couple of people were inspired to be making games from Cultist Simulator. And one of the things that's happened to me as a result of Cultist Simulator and a couple of other games like Brigador and that was to be able to sort of connect with the developers through streaming it made me actually want to go out and say, it's like, okay, well, it's all well and good that I'm interacting with these strangers in other cities, but if there's something in my local community that's happening, I want to see what's going on and to seek it out. And so I found this Dirty Rectangles group, and it was really cool. There's a lot of people doing very inventive projects. So it's a nice little chance for me to sort of show those to you. I will try and stream some of them in the future when I can, but at the moment it's mostly been limited to retweeting and the occasional blog post and things like that. But I do encourage you guys to check them out, and especially if you're somebody who's inspired to make games yourself. Like these are great examples of people who are doing it in their spare time. Some of them do work professionally. But just it gives you an idea of the range, and Sean in particular has actually been advocating for it's something that I feel very close to in terms of my own work. Sorry, I know I've paused the game to monologue here, but I think this is kind of helpful for at least some people. I've been live for about an hour and 13 minutes, just the tip. So at work there are very strong opinions. Okay, so people who don't do interesting economics have really strong opinions on what software you use, and people who have interesting economic projects talk about the things that they are discovering. And people have got this really stupid idea of this admittedly popular open source package being clearly superior to even paid alternatives. This is not true. And I have given several examples of work I have done as somebody who is by no means high up on the food chain on the Economist thing. And I know the frustration of sort of seeing people advocate for what can often be a bad tool in certain contexts. So for instance, if I were to teach you all an econometrics class, I would not use the popular open source package. Because I want you to focus on understanding how to get estimators and how to make sure that you're allowed to say that you've discovered what you think you've discovered, rather than teaching you to be a programmer. If you want to be a programmer, it's a very helpful skill, but there's a lot of resources online, and you don't go to an econometrics class to learn to become a programmer. So all this is to be said, to say that Sean is obviously very comfortable with Unity, and whenever he says he's bashing Unity, he's not really. I always take it more as trying to say it is not the only tool available, and it can sometimes turn people off of game development. Because if you've got an idea that you're really passionate about, and then the first thing you're confronted with is the Unity interface, that is not an easy thing to wrap your head around. You cannot immediately go from cool game idea in your head to figuring out Unity. And there are simply other alternatives that might get you up to speed better. And is it better that you get the experience of thinking how a game works and make it fun? Or do you want to sit down and figure out what a prefab is and why it's important and why it might be good that, Unity is allowing you to nest them? So this is one thing that I've taken from Sean, is that he also sort of advocates for sort of the right tool for the right job. I'm sorry if I'm mischaracterizing your view. Maybe you just really hate Unity, and I'm trying to soften the blow. But that's maybe another lesser known thing. That's maybe not something that will be obvious when you check out his page. And more importantly, he does really impressive stuff with the tools that I think if you actually try them, you'll say, "Oh my God, how did he do that?" So anyway, there you go. I'm gonna shut up and play the game. Melemony, great to see you. Just the Tip, thank you for dealing with all of that. And K5, I will get some shout outs out of the way, but I did spend a lot of time talking about a subject that I know nothing about. But okay, I don't want to get the dread off of the icy atmosphere, so we can go to the Orchard of Lights or the Lodge of the Sage Knight, and I think I want to go to Lodge of the Sage Knight. Ooh, this will be helpful for a summoning. Subtle Fracture, Clouds Part, Walls Creak, Old Wounds Ache, a 6th Order Influence, significant resonances or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. Last night, in the Great Pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Gallagher sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let's share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Okay. I think I'm just going to keep hammering away at the white door for the next little while. Because I do need those higher order secret histories to get to Kersham. And what else? I think I'm gonna live with that. Oh, here we go. Oh no, we still don't have any details. Here's what she needs, and commission on Moth, we can definitely satisfy that. We'll go through Adim and Jannings as well. Madame Olympie Bichet is seeking suitable articles for the Kersham Review. In particular, she wants something suitably intriguing about the principle called Moth. You'll need to find a matching lore fragment of at least level 2. Alright. Dr. Adim wants another commission on Lantern. Looks like it's a pretty simple one, and then we'll get Jannings, who maybe he'll want Edge. Alright, we're also killing our notoriety reasonably well. Tonight I sense opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention. If I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. So I'm not going to need the passion for the woods. I'm going to commit that. I'm more than a listen package of flesh and blood. And here we go. The expedition continues. So we've got a hidden door. And that's it. So as it happens, Enid is great for her knock, but that's all that I've got. So in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take good old Slee. And then this is sort of this is a little late. I was wrong on my prediction. It's Hart. The Count will pay for information of interest. This time he'd like a substantial research on the corporal mysteries of the heart. So what I'm going to do here, though, is I am going to upgrade Cat Caro. It's unlikely that... Oh yeah, no, we're definitely not going to get her in time. But lanterns never... In my view, you can never have enough lanterns, so we'll upgrade. Oh, salmon dinner sounds wonderful, Melemony. I realize you can get salmon elsewhere, but especially coming from the West Coast, I have not had as much salmon as I feel I should. God, now I'm kind of hungry now. All right, what do I want to do for work? So I can keep chucking... Okay. So I believe if I try to paint... Oh! I need to be careful here. So, if I try to paint, then after 16 seconds, I'm going to wind up losing my glimmer. Well, actually, that's not 100% true. I have 70 seconds on that, so I could get one painting done. So do I want to do that? What is the... What's the trade-off? Nope. I'm going to wait... I'm going to wait as long as I can for him to eat one of the Mystique. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make it so that he doesn't hit the notoriety. And in this case, I'm going to let the... I've got 10 seconds. I'm going to let the work go idle for a bit. Well, let me think about this. Nope, I can... do I still have my... Oh, you know what? I probably lost the influence, didn't I? No, there it is. Okay. So let's try a ritual instead. So let's do the sunset rite. The offering is influence. And I did put my better knock... Oh yeah, one of the reasons for that is I put one of my better knock disciples away. Of course, I also did that to Lantern, so I may not actually be able to summon anything interesting. So I've got Edge, which is good. And I could bring Lantern, Heart, or Winter. Hey! You guys know what's coming up. So, the Percussagant, merciless and merry. Heart will bring it, Edge will constrain it. Okay, quick, show of hands in chat. Who knows what happens when we summon Percussagants? It's going to be a little different from the way I normally handle it, but I'm bound and determined to make sure that... Hey, Hail Jesus! Good to see you. And you're from Johnny Big Time's channel. Thank you for stopping by. Alright. I'm going to take a quick minute here and see, now that I've got all of these deeper... okay, so there's a new concept known as a lesson learned. I'm going to leave you to figure that out on your own, Sean, but they've reworked the way that skill upgrades work. So it says something more. Unfortunately, I took my better heart lore, and I'm using it. So what happens if I do Winter? Nothing. I have a feeling that this is just going to be... Oh... Exercise the imagination, unreason, cut my hair, cut my bonds, cut my snip, snip, snip. Do I want to risk it? Of course I do, but what else can I do here? Knowledge of the invisible arts. Exercise the imagination, folly, who desires but acts not, breeds pestilence. Okay, so it's possible that Heart and all of that will work as well. Oh, damn it. Okay. But yeah, let's see what the fevered imagination gives me when I throw some lore, and then I'm going to take all of these lessons learned. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's nothing to do with the game, Domi. It's specifically something I do when I summon Percussagants. We call the watchman who navigates. Our senses are sharpened. We should find this hidden door. So, I mean, I'll add the persistent disciple because I can. Okay, do I want restlessness? I might get fascination, I might get dread. Let's go to the Orchard Lights. Pulsing air. Rising power, a reassuring energy, 6th order influence, significant resonances or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. So if I want another creature of the Thunderskin, I know where to find it. The hours may be called unmerciful, but they permit sleepers sometimes to walk in the Orchard of Lights, where each fruit glows like sunset, where the roots of the trees are shaped for peaceful rest, where the mist soothes the heart. I was there last night, and the taste of the fruit lingers, sharp and sweet as the passage of spring to summer. The nice guy act is only one that I can sustain every other day, though, Melemony, and sometimes it slips. So let's not make promises we can't keep. Okay, got my vitality. Not worrying too much about it at the moment. I'm going to do things in the order that they came in. So for those of you who saw him, we've got the inimitable Johnny Big Time. Johnny has been doing The Witcher recently. He's a lot of fun to watch. I actually, you know what? Kind of feel like I should. I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but I am actually going to take a moment and bring up Mr. Big Time. This is mostly because he's also one of the most clippable streamers that I know. Hey, and he's hosting me, so now I feel even more obligated to do so. There's one particular clip that I want to show you, but it might have a copyright. It might have a copyright restriction on it, so I'm gonna skip that one. You know what? Sometimes I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is that Johnny has a very good sense of timing, also reactions. So if you guys enjoy Fallout 3, this was his reaction to the first time he launched the Fat Man rocket. Anyways, watching Johnny's channel is basically like a couple of hours of that every single night. He has got an amazing camera presence. He's got a great sense of humor. He puts up with the most appalling behavior on my part in his channel. I don't know why he puts up with me, but he's a great guy. I do really encourage you to follow his channel if you haven't. In fact, here's something that might be a little more fun for you guys. I would like, as I talk about these individuals, if you know them as a streamer, I would love it if you could tell me what sort of aspect you think they are. Which of these aspects do you think Johnny Big Time counts as? Cat Caro still performs in the theaters sometimes. Cat Caro, the posters say finds the path. Cat Caro knows the way. While I'm doing that, I will take a quick minute and also mention K5RTO and Melemony. Now, they are both individual streamers on their own, so let me get those out of the way. So, I found Melemony through K5RTO. Melemony is a moderator for him, but she's also a streamer in her own right. They have the dubious distinction of being the only people I've played a full game of Stellaris multiplayer with. Take that as you will. But they're both really good streamers. I originally found them through through Surviving Mars, and we will actually be returning to Surviving Mars. The original plan was to try that on a vodcast tomorrow. That likely will be set aside for something else, unfortunately. But I'm trying to put that up as a regular thing again. And I will definitely say one of the things that that's really kind of got my attention for both of them. K5 I sort of associate a lot with science fiction games. He's great for Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky. But I think the biggest thing about both of them is they're very personable. They're much better at sort of interacting with their chat and building community. They've been very warm and inviting, and they've really made my own chat very pleasant to hang out with. I know if I'm not having a great stream and one of them shows up, I actually usually wind up feeling really good by the end of it. And so I do hope that you follow both of them as well. Again, it's a slightly different reason from Johnny. It doesn't mean that they're not entertaining either. But especially if you sort of like the community that sort of builds up, if you like the fact that when you come here, there are some very pleasant people here, it is largely because of K5 and Melemony, and people like them. So these are two communities where you will find that as well. Now, I felt that there was another streamer inside the chat who I've forgotten. If that is true, I apologize and speak up, but I think I've covered all the streamers I know who've come in. I don't think Sean streams, but again, please check out his itch website. Okay, in fairness, K5, the only reason that happened was because somebody, while I was away, made this grand coalition against me. Alright, first the thump, the rattle and cry of the ceremonies. It attends in the wood. Now here it is, shouldering its way through the world's skin, like a clawed and ruthless uncle, or a headless flapping bear. So we'll move Rose out of the way. Like I said, there's nothing really that happens in the game itself when the Percussagant is summoned. But now you just build streaming software. Oh. Now I'm kind of curious, but alright. I need a moment, because this doesn't work as well with my mouse wheel not working out. Oh really? There's a Stellaris expansion coming out soon? There might be a guy who's been talking about special things on Friday. Alright. The Percussagant. It's a shorter version because it really does not have the same effect with the keys, but the Percussagant. The Percussagant, it loves the sistrum's shiver, it loves the thrum of the tympanos, it recalls with fondness the flaying of Marsyas, so it will not stop dancing. That is canon. It's also why we don't summon the Percussagant very often. Alright. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have... Oh, hang on. I got a creative way of doing this. No, I don't. Will this... I don't think this is going to be done in 15 seconds. You know what? Everything... So this is the first time I've played the... This is the first time I played the Temple Unceasing. I generally love the writing of the... of all of the heart. It's probably... So, like, I'm definitely a Lantern guy. By the way, I'm not seeing any recommendations in terms of who falls under what aspects. I am definitely a die-hard Lantern. I don't care if it's the default one, it is the best. Alright, we've got Unreason, so what did this become? It gave me an extra passion and skill Never Know. The more... What have I done? Alright, well clearly... Actually, there's going to be one more thing. Oh, damn it. I I need to make a quick decision. Well, you know what? I'm going to accept... Nope. We're going to do the contract at the Gaiety. We're going to try and have both. You know, deep down, Johnny might be a Grail. Treasures lie before us. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We've done it! The hidden door moves, with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. Oh, there's our Furtive Truth, so that should hopefully get us to Kerisham. Yeah, so let's say, I know Eyes of Sin will be mad at me if I say she's anything other than Grail, so we'll say that Eyes of Sin is Grail. I feel like Johnny's either Heart or Grail. You know, he might be Forged, though. I can see Johnny as a Forge as well. K5? K5 definitely has got a bit of Lantern. I think he also has a bit of Moth. Maybe he's a secret Winter and we just don't know. And Melemony, I can definitely see Melemony as a Heart, but who else can I compare? I don't know, Melemony might also be Nock now that I think about it. No? How could I call Johnny old? Alright, so I've got my Restlessness. Now the good news about this is I will be able to use it in summonings, because it does give me 2 Heart. And of course, if we can get to Kerisham, I'll be advancing my... After that amazing whatever it was, you have to go to sleep. You have a test tomorrow, so wish you luck. I hope you guys have a great time. Best of luck to you, Domi. I really do appreciate you spending the time, especially in school. I know it was something that I did to relax, but it is also one of these things that I understand the cost of, especially when you have an exam. I wish you well. You know, eat a banana, drink some water, you know all the tricks to get through that sort of stuff in school. But above all, oh, he found notoriety. That's a shame. But above all, I do hope you I hope you have a good time of it. I know it's been a stressful week, but you have everything you need to get through it. I just know I do not envy the fact that it's it's you doing it, not me. All right, Dorothy's enthusiasm has become an obsession. She will not cease, and she now loves to dance. I wonder if I can... I don't think I quite have enough to be able to take him to the next level. I need 21st. Yeah, we're not even close. Okay, what are we doing with ourselves? I think I'm just gonna keep upgrading people. At this point, I think I'm gonna do some good old-fashioned, you know, if you're at the top of the stack, you get upgraded. And what else do we have? Nothing else for me to do right now. I do need to get rid of the Restlessness. I also need to get rid of the... an opportunity at the Gaiety Theater. Let's turn that Restlessness into a Alyssum package of flesh and blood. I'll just use Moth to get rid of the evidence. You'll notice that I am doing a slightly more pacifist... It's not an obviously pacifist run. I will react if backed into a corner. But I do want to try something new. I want to try and... So the biggest thing is that I know a lot of people always keep telling me, kill the guy, kill the guy. I actually want to make it so that I specifically... So, like, I don't know. I do like having stories for these people in the back of my head. And I specifically said that Roland is not going to be a murdering type. So I'm going to stick with that. He might change. Of course, the world is interesting when people change. But for now, we're not just going to remove people because they're inconvenient. Let's get some homework done. Alright, Deoris Volume 1. The glory is a question, and the moth always answers yes. The black flax's answer is no, and that is always its answer. So we've got another Barber's Warning, not exactly the thing that I was looking for, but that is the last piece of lore. Before I go any further, I am just going to get the Sanskrit reader out of the way, And if we need anything else, I can obviously try and upgrade this lore, but what I might try and do is just upgrade my scholarship so I can say that I've done so. The altar tilts back like a jaw. Behind it is the pyramid space, where only the Sun Hunters and the Dawn Givers might go. But others have been here too, and much more recently. They have left their treasures. Okay, so let's get this arranged. More notoriety, of course, because that's sometimes just what you have to do. Okay, Enid is back. Alright, Noonstone, helpful. Kion at Abydos. Play dealing with the 9-year sojourn of the snow goddess in this Thracian city of Abydos by Apollo Fireweaver. It enjoyed success in London in its 1982 edition, when it was republished from, apparently, an older Greek text. And we've got Refulgan, a white so pure that it remains visible even in utter darkness. So more pigments, but nothing interesting to paint, so... kind of want to use the Percussagant as soon as I can, so we know that Strathcoins is guarded. Percussagant, I will not make the leader as much as I like it. I'll bring Rose along because we need some heavies. Might have been able to do it with Moth as well, now that I think of it, but anyways. And we're good to go. Another Furtive Truth. Another potential trip to Kersham. Many of the dead enter the Mansis through the White Door. They wander its corridors in silence until they are lost. Some embrace each other, some devour each other, and some force their way into the dreams of the living. A few record their memories on Mansis Stone where it's Solf. They scratch it with their nails, you see. Last night, I read one of those memories. I don't think there's anything I can do with Dream. This is the Course of the Heart, so that's good news there. If I wanted, I could upgrade this into a lesson learned for Vitality, but there's really no benefit to me doing that. We've recruited another pawn. Urgh. You know what the worst thing is? I'm probably just gonna upgrade them anyway. Right. Well, not quite enough, so... The only person I don't want to do that to is Moth, and then... I don't have enough for the Stag Door's Riddle, so we're just going to keep going through the White Door. Counting the cards, you say, Captain Shield? Well, have fun. You guys are lucky. Actually, the one way that I know I can get an audience to immediately hate me is to start, like, moving all these cards around in random levels. That is enough, like... People are OCD enough about this game that I will get hate mail if I actually do that. Watchers, mortals, perhaps even ordinary mortals, but quite a number of them. They can be fought, seduced, or deceived. So I suppose if I was a nicer person, I would bring my 2 Moth followers, but I have a Percussagant. I mean, come on. Unlucky for them. Let's throw another pawn on the fire. You decide, Melemony. Very glad they added the grid mode. Yeah, I mean... By the way, Bird, vastly superior. So, I mean, all you nice people talking about my layout, right? Does this bother you? Every grid is sacred, every grid is great. When a grid is wasted, the Demiurge gets a little bit pissed. Now, I don't know quite what is the highest. I don't think there is a highest. The Glory gets quite irate. Alright, so I'm sick, but we've got the vitality to handle it, so I'm good. Oops, let's get rid of that. Old and happy far off thing, so that'll turn into restlessness. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor or with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. System chat gets irate? Nice one. Although system chat I've been okay with the when referring to just kind of what's going on inside of the chat, but in terms of the group of people watching, the preferred nomenclature, if anybody is ever curious, is System Flock. And if I ever have a stream team, it will be the System Block. And if I ever have a stream currency, well, obviously System Stock. Alright, the entity called Kion arrives in the blizzard and demands the city gates are barred. As Abydos falls under her spell, the dead return but do not speak. Our strength is matchless. The Watchers will almost certainly regret standing against us. Well, let's add another pawn to the fire. A murder of chat? That's actually pretty funny. Right, let's go back to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. We've got another subtle fracture, which means that I can summon things. Alright. I like the dialogue with Teresa Gallagher, but I did promise that I was going to use my dancing snake, so I'm gonna skip over that for now. We will grab the hell, and I genuinely feel bad about it, so I do not recommend that you play it the way I'm playing, because there are little hints contained within the writing. The game is like, one of the things that's funny about the saying that the game is well written is everybody sort of acknowledges this, but I don't think everyone quite realize how much is buried inside some of the text. There have been stuff that I found on like a 4th or 5th playthrough where I was like, oh, hang on, and then sure enough I try it and I discover a nice little corner case. So please don't do what I do there, but I do also know that there's a bit of a cost in terms of not showing you guys other things on the stream if I do that. So I'm do as I say, not as I do. The system dock is definitely found in Port Noon. Where do you buy system stock? That might be available on Friday. Yeah, system walks are when I do a Periscope. Usually if there's a blog idea that I have, I workshop it on the system walks. So, system mock is definitely system mock is a favorite pastime. System mock, by the way, if you're, there's a reason why this one is the top tier sub. If you guys want to make fun of me, that's fine, but you have to pay up. Alright, Enid's already disciple, Leo, Dorothy, Tristan, we've got a hanger on, so I don't really need the tools for that. Oh, you know what? I should have dealt with the evidence. We'll be good. Not we'll be good as in like we will do virtuous actions. I mean, we will be okay for the time being while I sort out my nonsense. I think most of you guys are going to be very happy to see the king in the current playthrough die. I have a feeling that that guy is not everyone's favorite. But boy oh boy is it fun to play. Right. What else do we have? I've got the extra effort, which comes just in time for my restlessness. Dread's coming up next. There's my affliction. So this will be pretty straightforward to deal with. I'll just take the vitality. Can't do that. Oh, a Course of the Heart in case I didn't already have what I needed. I felt their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So obviously 37 wealth is a... So again, I do encourage you guys, if you do like following the development of this game, do check out that that developer stream that Weather Factory did. Their blood pumps bright, then dark. They should not have opposed us. We move on. So if you do watch it, he does talk a bit about this idea of people hoarding money and some of the ways that they address that. So, all right, what do I want to do with my work? Once upon a time I would have been able to paint, but painting is not quite worth what it used to be. So what? Let's do a commission on lantern, because it's not like I really need the money right now. For 8 years, the city is a place of slow death, frosty ecstasy, and silent beauty. But in the 9th year, a conspiracy of shouts is mounted against the quiet that Kion demands. The conspirators open the city gates, and a scarred man comes to drag Kion out by the hair. Summer returns, but the conspirators die of remorse. Cool. I think that's one of the new books. Study. What do I want to study? Can try upgrading the subtle fracture, so that would require more subtling fracturing and knowledge. Can't improve it. If I wanted to use it, I should have used it in work, and I blew it, so I think there's not really a huge benefit to me. Well, actually, hang on, one more thing. Erudition lessons learned. You know what? I'm not going to use this poetry for anything else. I think it will be easier to just simply not, like, list the ones for which I perform virtuous deeds. Let's go to this. No, you know what? Orchard Delights. Ooh, Forgotten Chronicle. A story of a city without a gate, of a queen who was not born, of a war which was not fought. Exploring with a scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations on the continent. Of course, I'm going to be using the exploration for other deeds, but good to know. Okay, so let's make sure I don't get decrepitude, as fun as that is. Affliction, vitality, heal up. No, not quite time for that. What evil things have I done in Cultist Simulator, Captain Shield? We seat our mouths to the thunder, we seat our feet to the dance, we seat our skins to the night, we do not cease, we do not cease, we do not cease. Silent disciple, loyal and quiet as falling snow. Okay, let's go through our list. Slee, you get an upgrade. So Slee currently speaks earnestly on his theories to all who will listen. The stars as tiny wounds and the sun as a hemorrhage of glory. His poetry is more eccentric than ever. Okay, I think we're doing good for dread and whatnot. There's nothing that's going to turn into dread. There's nothing else that I need to worry about. We've got my commission down. Obviously I still need to talk to... Oh, hang on, I've got one more that I can do. Substantial Treatise on Heart, which if I can't do that as the leader of the Temple Unceasing, I probably do not deserve. I should get a free despair just for even thinking of it. Is there anything else I can do with my work? 56 seconds. I mean, if I want to summon something, now would be the time. The catch is that I already have Enid in play. maybe the right of the map's edge. Let's think a little bit about what we can do here. So we say we've got an offering here, the invocation, and the instrument. So the instrument would be, well, if I put a Noonstone in, I could add edge, but I don't, well, Chiliarch's lesson, but I don't think that the hint won't really help out there. And I definitely think Forge, yeah, Forge is the really strong one, so definitely nothing I can do with my Noonstone. I think I'm already using my Idol, so I can't do much about that. The Spentrea, oh, do these no longer count as instruments? That's probably been true for a while, and I just wasn't paying attention. Didn't know that was a secret histories, though. Okay, I think we'll just lose the subtle flaw. It's not the end of the world, but I am gonna do... The commission might take too long, so let's go back to the Gaiety Club and make some money. If I ever wind up playing Imperator, the Rome game from Paradox coming out, you guys are gonna lose your minds. If you want to see evil. That's Heart Pawn. This is the Grail Pawn. Spent too much. Free Percussagant. Rose is up here. And we've got the Wainscot Histories, subtitled The Stories from Behind the Walls, a miscellany of non-traditional histories compiled by William Gore, including battles not generally acknowledged and countries which appear on no map, told in a playful, apparently fictional manner. We've also got the Icon of Ages. St. Agnes of Bohemia was renowned for her pious dedication to the mortification of the flesh. This icon makes for grisly viewing. We have got the Magus von Brandt's. The Magus von Brandt's authentic and unique account of the true tongue of the true Holy Land and of the Highmost. Written excitably and in some haste by a gentleman in the grip of transcendentalist enthusiasm, but nevertheless a useful guide to Aramaic. Oh yes, they made that easier to get. Oh, looks like it just threw me out of chat. So if you said anything after Captain Shield said, "I'm ready to lose my mind, let it happen," my chat died and I couldn't read it, so apologies. Out into the night, we escape unseen, but the next day there are reports of a fire at Strathcoyne's. Did someone knock a live coal on the hearthrug, or did Strathcoyne destroy the place himself as part of some larger scheme? Okay, so we're feeling particularly confident. Given the fact that I have the Percussagant, it may be an idea for me to go to the Forsaken Reach. But what I think I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go to St. Agnes Hospital. I will bring the Percussagant along, just so that I can sort of preserve him. And in this case, I'm going to bring Alcaire. Oh yes, and I need money. I'm just going to bring the one this time. No, you know what? I'm going to bring two because it's not a big deal. I've got plenty, and this allows me to put another body in if it comes down. Again, comes down to it. So only echoes walk the hospital halls now, but the malice lingers in the air. We must search meticulously room by room. Okay. Film industry story time, guys. We had a St. Agnes Hospital style place in Vancouver. It was known as Riverview Hospital. So Riverview Hospital is a proper, like it is an institution for, you know, people with pretty severe mental disabilities, and often it would house the violent but not necessarily the criminal. And there was the old hospital, which was abandoned, and like you'd use it. So there's tons of TV shows. Like if you've ever seen a TV show that was shot in Vancouver, basically any scene where they took out the flashlights and they filled it full of smoke, and it was like, oh, what mysteries are we gonna find here kind of scenes. That was Riverview. They were unquestionably filming those scenes in Riverview. That was the only place you would go if you wanted like abandoned evil place. Sometimes not even abandoned evil place. I wound up being there tons of times, and of course there's rumors that it's haunted. Why would you have a giant spooky hospital where you're shooting all of the movies, especially like the movies with murderers and stuff like that in it. So I was on an independent film. An asylum. And like if you go in it, like it's obviously it has not been used for a while because there's like old-fashioned kind of treatment for this stuff. And then like we had a couple times where we had to shut down filming because somebody was unaccounted for in one of the actual active hospitals. And like they needed to be accounted for before we could film because of course they might wind up on set, and you know there's always those kinds of concerns. So anyways, I was working on this, like it's kind of half of us had been like, so half of the people had graduated and like the other half, like I really wasn't in a professional yet. I was sort of more doing sort of free gigs for people. But one of my first experiences of Riverview was actually working for free on a project. And like, because usually on these sorts of projects, it's people kind of agree to do some free work at like a camera rental house like Panavision or something like that. And if it's a slow season, if you're, you know, if you know a guy or something like that, they'll sometimes let you have some of the gear for like a case of beer or just generally very, you know, very inexpensively. And again, like, please, if you happen to work in a city where you have a production center or something like that, like, no, you cannot walk in through the front door and say, hey, I got a case of beer. Can I have access to like the most expensive stuff? But like, it does happen. So one of the things you want to do though is like you are extra careful on the dummy checks. Like you check and you double check every room because nobody wants to be the jackass who had the rental company do a nice thing and let you use all this pro gear, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you know, that like several $1,000 light, well, we don't know what happened to it. Like, that's dumb. So we're going through, and of course, because we've taken down all of the gear, it's absolutely, you know, pitch black. And yes, I mean, I'm camera, I always have a flashlight with me because that's how you like check the gate to make sure there isn't like a sliver of film or something. I can be unpaused while I tell this story. You know, everybody's kind of around me because I've got the light. And then the guy who was directing the thing, who, by the way, is like, he was, you know, very muscular, tall, like built like a Greek god. Like, he goes missing. And we're like, okay, yeah, he's probably playing some joke or like he's off doing whatever. So we're carrying on, and like we get through like where all of the cells and stuff like that are. And then out of nowhere, this like shirtless creature comes running out going, "Ah!" The guy behind me, who's like a grip, like he is a burly, you know, unsmiling big guy, actually screamed a genuine, like, high-pitched, I'm about to die kind of scream. The sort of thing that you give if you don't think that anybody else is going to live to tell that tale. And of course, sure enough, it's the director. It's the man built like a Greek god running out, being a complete ass with an absolutely amazing practical joke, because that guy did not live down that scream forever. But anyways, that's my story of my version of St. Agnes Hospital. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was worth it. Sorry to the... Oh my god, no. Clearly people did not enjoy that. YouTube, let me know. Every time you comment, it makes the video get attention. Thank you for that. And now the tale is being told on stream. And I bet, you know, I did actually see that guy at a gamer bar in Vancouver. So it is entirely possible he watches the stream and doesn't speak. And we'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You asshole. We need heart or lantern. Oh, not winter. Okay. But the Pergusagant will take us through the Dry Soul Curse. So otherwise it will not keep us from our goal, but it may trouble us later. Leo, you're in. You got a portrait made of you. You're first in line if the curse hits us. Well, the good news is nobody unfollowed. Or maybe they did and it just didn't tell me, but... Stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they paid me. Okay, Course of the Heart. That's not actually the 4 Vitality, that's the object that turns into the Vitality, and you get to hear a little bit about those quirks on the development stream as well. In case you didn't notice, I'm really pushing this development stream, because it's fun. Oh, actually, you also get to see I know Lottie is a little... I don't think she's camera shy, but she definitely goes behind the scenes, but she is on camera for this one. They're waiting to do it when I least expect. I like to see that number go up as much as possible, just like I like to see the concurrent viewers be very high, but I would much rather people who want to be here be here. And if people... this channel has changed a few different times in a few different ways. I used to play a lot more Crusader Kings than I do now. And it's completely understandable if people don't like the new form. It would be wonderful if I could, you know, win them back, win them over, you know, do whatever. But, you know, sometimes people change, and that's on both sides of the camera. So I always think it is much better to appreciate the people who are here and like it than to worry about, well, where am I going to get the next follower from? Like, that will happen. And like, in the end, it's a number. Like, am I a better person for, you know, for having, you know, 2035 instead of 2033? Like, if you make a living, you have to think about that. Or if you make a living off of this thing, you need to worry about that. If you don't, you should be having fun, and that should be your first consideration. And follow numbers, concurrent viewers will give you an idea in terms of where you're connecting and where you're not. It's not irrelevant information, but it's definitely something that I think I definitely worry about it too much. And I like to think I have a reasonably healthy attitude towards it, and I still think I worry about it too much. Alright, Slee's headaches have become crippling, but his theories grow more practical by the day. His poetry is getting better too. Right, we're almost full up on our followers, which means we can start recruiting some more. I may not... yeah, no, I should still be able to promote. So, Yzabet sleeps in fits and starts. She rises at dusk to do the things and Yzabet does. Yzabet. And Yzabet? I think that's right. Well, I mean, part of the reason why I talk about this stuff a lot too, it's a little, like, I just don't really know that much about Twitch. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know that much about Twitch to begin with. But I will say, when I hear about people, the words contain knowledge, now I contain it. It's a little like theft and a little like feasting, and a little like the progress of an infectious disease. I have always loved that description of studying. The world is awash in printed words, even the newspapers contain knowledge sometimes. We are strong enough in heart to almost be entirely secure against the curse. Well, adding Dorothy won't change it, so I'm not going to add her. But yeah, so especially people like the Eyes of Sin, who is reasonably well known on Twitch, among some reasonably big streamers, again, the kind of people who make a living doing this sort of thing. I think one of the things that has resulted in a lot of people talking about not wanting to go back to TwitchCon and things like that do tend to be this attitude where, you know, people will ask you how many followers you have, or, you know, they will treat you very differently depending on whether or not they think that you can, you know, you can move them up. Now, this is not exclusive. Like, obviously in other careers, you're going to have people who are very opportunist and sort of wear that on their sleeve. But I think the biggest thing is the reason why I like Twitch, and the reason why I kept streaming on this platform, and it doesn't have to be this platform, I'd go to Mixer in a heartbeat. In fact, speaking of, let's just take a quick second here. I want to see whether or not Twitch is giving me my transcodes, because if they're not, maybe I'll do a sneaky... Oh, yep, they're not giving me transcodes. Okay, How would you guys feel if I did a Mixer stream one night? But yeah, one of the main reasons why I kept doing this after the charity event was that gaming has always kind of been a social activity for me. You know, playing a board game or wanting to play a board game a little more likely. But even something like a multiplayer game. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. It is the social aspect that kept me coming back. The fact that there were sometimes people who, you know, liked the game I was playing, wanted to talk about the game, talked about my voice, you know, whatever it was that brought them there. I really enjoyed that interaction. And so to learn that that interaction has now sort of got a roadblock, and it's specifically because of the format in which you're interacting with people. The fact that you are on Twitch, the fact that you have a certain follower count, and that somehow this it's almost, I mean, we've been talking about Dark Knight, everyone, or the like the new Batman movies and that. It's like, this gives you power over me? You know, it's really a shame. Especially too because I know a couple of partnered streamers who really do not have what you would normally expect for a follower count, and they notice it, like, in the way that people talk to them, and that's a shame because they're like, there's a reason why they're partnered, and there's a reason why they're really great people to hang out with, and it is a shame that it's sort of become, it's kind of, you know, once upon a time you'd want to be an actor and like you'd go to Hollywood and maybe you'd make it, maybe you wouldn't. And of course, now it seems that people have equally unrealistic expectations in terms of playing video games to people on the internet for a living. And there's a role for that. There's a role for a lot of things that we see as useless in the world. You know, and more importantly, I don't necessarily think you should always value these things. I know, you know, because I'm an econ guy, I'm supposed to say, oh yeah, everything comes down to money. It doesn't. I can give you lots of examples as to why money, and specifically the valuations in monetary terms, result in suboptimal outcomes because of that particular outlook. But again, it's the new Hollywood. Everybody wants to be an Instagram star or a streamer or something like that. And I mean, if you look at some of the panels, those attitudes show they are genuinely unpleasant people behind some of those casts. And it's a shame. I just think it's one of these things where if you could focus a little bit more on the person, both the person behind the camera and also the audience, I just think it would be a little bit more pleasant to go to events like that. Because it's held in San Francisco, for God's sake. I mean, people are paying money to go to that. It would be nice if it wasn't so unpleasant. Mixer is Microsoft's streaming platform. Captain Shield. The stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Like, actually, so here's maybe not a bad example. I think sometimes if you think about games, you know, once upon a time you think of like big games, right? That was kind of the only thing you could get. And so, you know, the people who make games are wealthy. But when you think of games like this was a successful game. And I don't personally know the financial situation of the, you know, the people behind it, but I think a lot more of like a mom and pop shop when it comes to things like this. Like, I think of a diner that is run by people who are good at what they do, are able to cover the rent, make sure that they are taken care of, but they're not the sort of people who, you know, go out and rent offices because that's what big companies do. And I think because the whole article that came out was entirely about the fact that the costs of the tools to make these things are going down, it is more likely that you will see things like that. You know, just like the average business you go into, unless you exclusively shop at franchises, even franchises are usually going to be run by people who are not like super wealthy. But like, unless you just unless you exclusively shop at like Best Buy, Starbucks, you know, that sort of thing. You know, you're probably shopping at a place of somebody who does okay for themselves, but is not like massively wealthy. And again, because we're able to sustain, you know, the example I like to think of is like once upon a time, if you walked by a, like, so if you saw a bin and there were like $15 games in there, you would not accept one of those things as a gift. Like, you would just know that there's nothing worth picking up there at a certain period in history. Now, $15 will get you some great games. And that's largely a function of technology. I know there's some controversy around that, because some people might say it's, you know, things like bundles and that, and that plays a role as well, but there are some very good reasons as to think that it's actually technological progress that is causing a decrease in the price of things. And that means that developers do not need to be Rockstar to do that. But it also means that their incomes are going to match. It's also like, I don't think anybody goes into video games to get rich. The Disgruntler says, a life where useless things are valued is a life worth living. Absolutely. And welcome, by the way. I don't think I've said hi to you yet. Alright, we won't upgrade this pawn, so what do I want to do with talking? Let's get some culty business done. Oh, okay. Alright, let's get some extra culty business done. Can I get this done in 54 seconds? It is almost certain that I will not be able to do so. Can I distract the weary detective? No, but I bet I'll be able to destroy the tentative evidence before that becomes a problem. So, Yzabet was just here a moment ago. Just here. Almost certainly. So I think the way this works, I have to talk with her and then I drag the tentative evidence in. Yes. So my scheme will most likely succeed. There's always a chance something will go awry. So the idea here, in 54 seconds, the suspicion's going to come up, weary detective's going to go up, the notoriety's going to get gobbled up. That's something I just have to live with. I might be able to paint it away or something like that, but we should be able to destroy the evidence before it becomes a problem. So, you almost certainly will miss something important, Captain Shield. The Eyes of Sin! Thank you very much for the host. We were just talking about TwitchCon and all the pleasant people you meet there. How are you doing? It is a sin. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. We read that already before. Treasures lie before us. Read whatever it is to hand. Got my reason. Got my erudition. We will combine the two. I'm going to be a little close to the edge on that, but I think we'll be okay. Don't want restlessness, so that's another erudition for my trouble. In last night's stream, I was in the Lodge of the Sage Knight behind the White Door. It is difficult to remember exactly how I came there, and the mistress of this place, the woman with the dark glasses, was nodding as if I had asked her a difficult question. Of course I hadn't. I hadn't lost my speech when I passed the White... Sorry, I lost my speech when I passed the White Door. How is it that I can speak? She said to me. I didn't come here through the White Door. I'm not proud of what I did to come here, so let me tell you about something else. Sorry, a bit late. You had some work that you... No, Sin, please. Your work is very... I know how important your work is. Especially because you are one of these amazing people who is actually able to work in an industry where you don't know where the next job is coming from. That used to be true for me in film, and it's one of the reasons I didn't like that part. Alright. I may have a chance to use this restlessness, we'll see. I do. I'm a listen package of flesh and blood. See, this is the nice thing about Sin. I was talking purely negatively about TwitchCon, and Eyes of Sin is saying all the nice things. So that gives you an idea of who the better person is. What was this place? The door bore no sign, there were no windows. The walls were painted a rich violet, rich even now after the ravages of rain through the leaking ceiling. A rotting chair has leather straps on the arms. The floor is porcelain and runneled. Okay. I felt their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. Let's try and get some summoning done. I don't really have influence though, so is there a way I can make this work? Well, I have a little moth, but I don't think that'll do the trick. So the Watchman's Sorrow makes me sacrifice a lore, which I do have a surplus of, but I don't want to do. That will make me give up an influence. This one will make me give up an influence. The difference is there is the assistant and the invocation. And this one is the right. I don't think there's much I can do with Moth, if I'm totally honest. Not ready to give up human beings yet. Well, let's take a quick look at what can happen. So let's say the icon of Saint Agnes is... Oh, you know what? That won't help. Maybe it will. Yeah, I need a corpse for that. Oh, but I need to work, so... yes. Notoriety. And I don't think I have anything else. I'll get... oh, I'm gonna get notoriety in 12 seconds. Bummer. And there's really no way to fix it. So knowing that I'm going to have notoriety trigger no matter what, might as well get the money as early as I can. You only ever had one game where you managed to have both have corpses and have the use of corpse requiring rituals. Yeah, I've generally, and to be honest with you, for the difficulty in getting a corpse, they're really not that great. Maybe I've been raising the wrong corpses, but I've never really felt that they're worth that much. They're like, if you need to get rid of a body, sure. Raising them from the dead is a great way of doing that. That is possibly the best way to get rid of a body, in my opinion. But beyond that, I think, you know, it's more of a, I need to get rid of these things, especially now that winter will give you dread for decaying, rather than, yes, oh, I'm so, please give me more of this. I definitely want to make sure that I'm able to, you know, I'm able to get that corpse. I'd be willing to wait half an hour for that, so... But again, this is, whenever I say stuff like that, I'm sure there's just going to be one moment where, like, I do a playthrough and it's like, well, actually, you... And then I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. So, I think in this case I just doubled up some erudition. I still have enough time. I'll just get the one and then we'll double it up. So, speaking-wise, let's take some Slenderskin lore and see if we can find some new bodies. There's a padlock cupboard in the wall. It does not long resist our strength. It contains instruments tipped with flint and glass, instruments one would not expect a surgeon to use. It contains other matters more of interest to us too. Now I'm going to run into a small problem here, which is I still need to get Kersham, but I also need to keep my Percussagant alive. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to... I think I'm going to exhaust the first tier sort of activities, and then I'm going to put I'm going to have a little break where I wind up using the explore option. But I may lose the Percussagant doing that. The Rose of Hypatia, marked with the triple sign of the ancient contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot in Greek. And we've got the Rose of Nuriel, marked with the triple sign of the arcane contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot in Greek. I don't know if that's... I don't know if that's working as intended. And of course we already know Sanskrit, so I will sell that, but that would be the worst possible use of the Explorer right now. So Percussagant will not lead the expedition. Rose, my knifey lady, is going to take care of that. And as always, we're going to chuck a couple of funds inside because I don't know what's waiting for me. Oh, yep, you missed the Viper dance, Captain Shield. We're done, actually. Have a good night, everybody. No. The law does not touch the decaying this decaying fringe of the city. The mud here has claimed many lives, and there will no doubt be some wretched criminals or other layering in the warehouse. I am, of course, still looking for the solution to the Stagdoor's riddle, but unless it's the Rose of Nuriel, Colors of the Night, let's throw some money towards the problem. Double up the air whoops. Already doubled that up. So I gotta think about this. I'm not actually going to... I should have done the collection of essays. I'm gonna wind up losing this lesson learned unless I can do something cheesy to preserve it. Don't really want the icy atmosphere, so let's go to the Orchard of Lights. And I got an Intensity of Radiance, level 6. Light dews the skin and suffuses the air. 6th order influence, significant resonances, or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it will become Fascination. So, the catch here, of course, I just took my Edge Follower into the exploration. So, the invisible arts, Christopher Alopoli is said to have remarked, are as profitable as macrame, as ethical as tobacco smuggling, and in general as beneficial as roulette. Still, there's always the Orchard of Lights, and indeed the orchard, with its glowing fruit and its peaceful mists, is the place to be yearned for. Last night I walked there in the peaceful hours of the deep night. Even after waking, I still carry with me a little of the glory of the old sun. Oh, actually, speaking of other streaming ideas that I've been working on, I've got a bunch of data from Board Game Geek. Now, I'm not doing any really substantial analysis to it. I'm doing something that anybody with like a first-year statistics course would be able to do. But I am kind of messing around with it. Is there any interest in seeing me sort of fumble around with a data set like that? Or would it be better if I just put the results into some like presentation at the end and let you see the fruits of that labor? Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. So I'm definitely going to have to deal with the treacherous ground. Let's throw... See, the tricky thing here is Lantern is my better option because I can bring more than one person. Yeah, I'm gonna be a wimp. Sun Pope Clifton. You'd be interested in seeing that specific... So the trick here, Captain Shield, is that you can know with a fairly high degree of certainty that that a stream related to it will happen one way or the other. The question is more, do you feel that it would be better to see me do it in progress, or would it be better to see sort of the finished product when it was ready to go? This is, of course, assuming that you guys would be interested in seeing an analysis of board games. I don't know. I mean, I know that they've got a little bit of a renaissance going on. That's partly what the point of the project is about, because Board Game Geek does a pretty good job of recording whether or not it was a Kickstarter project. Okay, tentative evidence came back. I can work with that. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed something interesting to work with, and the Watchman will lend virtue to our lamps, and that will show us the perils to avoid, probably. Cat Caro, make that better. The Watchman will clear our sight so that we can almost certainly pass without error. You like seeing the progress? Okay, I'll think about it. No guarantees, obviously, because there are... like, I ran into a problem with the writing stream, is that when I'm trying to deal with a somewhat complicated idea, people will have a very specific idea of what they think I'm saying, which does not necessarily line up with the reality of what I'm saying, and I can get very frustrated when that happens, and that also keeps me from doing the writing. So unfortunately, I didn't manage that erudition very well. Let's go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. Okay, Subtle Fracture, we can probably summon something with that. And so I'm not sure if that made for a good stream or not. Extra effort. Oh, drat, that just became dread. Alright, well, I'll live with that. I can probably paint away the dread, but then I would have to do something with the influence. Oop, I should also be using my dream. I kind of let this get out of hand. The dark, the light. Moth finds light in the dark, and so do I. Trembling in the air. That means that this is a very high priority to get rid of. I stayed aloof, moved the moves, and stepped the steps, did what was required. Now they'll pay me. Okay, so let's just take a look at what we've got right now. So we've got 33 seconds left on something that I know will create Fascination. I can kill Fascination with Fleeting Remembrances now. I've obviously got some Dread that I can use towards that as well. Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. Do I want to risk it and let the two cancel each other out? Yeah, let's... I'm actually gonna... I'm gonna stop being such a wimp, and let's see what we can do with the Subtle Fracture instead. So, Sunset right. Now I need to have an invocation and an assistant. But I sent my better edge. So I'm pretty sure if I bring the Sturdy Disciple, yeah. Definitely need better Lantern, but we've got Slee. So I bet Slee will be able to handle this, and then we bring in Chiliarch's Lesson. Oh. That was hopeful. Okay. Can summon the Voiceless Dead. Do I want to, though? This probably won't be enough. Oh, yes it will. Found my summon. Come with me. Alright, so we've got our new potential follower. This is Laidlaw, and that is the same Laidlaw what made the Dragon Age game. Laidlaw is a tinkerer and a mechanic with an uncanny knack. Expedition continues, all is well. If I'm gonna fight these guys, I need to fight them properly, so I might want to bring in an edge follower. Let's throw you in there. Okay, talking-wise, let's get Sylvia to work with that tentative evidence. Again, we'll just get another one of those threats off the table. What else? Still have the season of... so I think we're not guaranteed, but it's very likely we'll be able to deal with Dread. There's some glimmering. It's a little late for me to do anything about that, but... What do we have? 173, so it's going to take me... You know what? I hate doing this, but I am going to use the collection of essays. The funny thing about this is I don't actually really need the extra reason. I'm just more so doing it so that I can get rid of these other things in my inventories. Our strength is matchless. The Watchers will almost certainly regret standing against us. Pulsing Airs! Another chance for another percussivant. Okay, what's coming up? Another season of ambitions. That's good news for me. Rebellious Spirit. The summoning is struggling against my control. In this case, I am going to use my reason to send it home, and that's because I've got Pulsing Airs, so I should be able to resummon. Watchers add their blood pumps bright and then dark. They should not have opposed us. We move on, and I keep forgetting to do my dream thing. It's gone, we are safe. Okay, so we'll slightly retool the way that we're doing the ritual. In this case, we'll do the right of the map's edge. We'll bring in the icon of St. Agnes. Come on, you can do it. Pulsing Airs. And in this case, we need to use Chiliarch's Lesson. This should be equivalent to what I just did. So the percussivant is merciless and merry. Heart will bring it, edge will constrain it. And I need to bring health. Oops, I screwed up because my erudition. Oh, no, I've got the 3 erudition. So let's... I don't know why I thought... No, yeah, I used the collection of essays, so I will grow wiser yet. So I'm still failing to do my leaf change, although I've committed to making an effort to make progress on this. I did make it this the stream title, Tampering with Records. My minion has returned, the evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. Good news. So we will worry about bringing Laidlaw into the fold, and again we'll use our fancy little trick for getting rid of restlessness. Because restlessness has 2 heart to it, we'll bring Laidlaw in, we will dance the restlessness dance, and he will become a member of our cult. Treasures lie before us, that'll mean more notoriety for us, but it's not the season of suspicion coming up, although the leaf will get... Oh, I forgot to do my job, I'm gonna have to plead for it. Not that I need to worry too much about that. This should be the dread clearing it out. It is. But I'll use that work right now. The world as it is. Sorry, I forgot to read that dialogue. Ceremony is resident as thunder in a church. I know it well. I wrote it myself. I should have read his dialogue before, but Laidlaw has begun to understand the limitations of ingenuity and the power of sacrifice. Show me what you know, Laidlaw. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate, and now I have to do my thing in the Mansus. Let's go to the Orchard of Lights again. Forgotten Chronicle is great news, so what does the text say? Last night I walked to the Orchard of Lights, and I plucked the fruit, which is always ripe, and consumed it in 2 bites. The taste is not to be forgotten. As I licked the glowing juices from my fingers, I saw a message carved into the bark of the tree. When I woke, I recorded that message, all that I could remember, in my diary. As usual, I mean, this is one of the nice things about being the dancer. This is kind of true of everyone. Now I approach the white door through the bounds. Now I can press my fingers to it, feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the Mansus. So, obviously this... Oh, that's another rebellious percussivant. We will show it who is the lord of the dance. The things from outside this world have many weapons, knives and riddles, fire and despair. I have weapons of my own. This will usually, but not always, work. My mind is a paradise of mirrors, in which all things are clear, even those things I might prefer not to see. So I believe we can still move this up 1 more level. And I need to bring something more in that. So it's pretty unlikely we're going to be able to pull that off, but you never know. We do have the light in the skull, but at this time I'm going to read the Wainscott histories. Gore does not mention the Mansus directly, but a constant coy metaphorical references to ascending the staircase of years to the doors of sleep, and to the blue light of dawn has suggested that he had commerce with the unseen world. A delayed delivery. The Watchers were here guarding the crates sealed with thief-signed ribbons. It was not a lawful operation. The owners of the cargo may not be pleased with our meddling. Okay, so there's my notoriety, there's Cat Caro, there's Pope Clifton, there's my dear Percussagant, good old Rose. And we've got some money. We've got Rose Pearl Dust. Pearls are sacred to the Witch and Sister, especially those of this color. They have been used in protective rites, among others. And we've got a vital pigment. It is not usual for a red this red to survive the death of the body. So there's probably not much waiting for us here at the Forsaken Reach again, but I want to clear it out. So again, we'll use the Percussagant, and we do know that he's helpful. And in this case, we'll also bring Pope Clifton, because it's very likely that we'll encounter the obstacles first. And I feel like there was something I was going to say before, but I've completely forgotten it. So apologies, that almost always happens on stream. So, okay, Season of Suspicion coming up. I do have a notoriety that I need to get taken care of, but I won't need to worry for 23 seconds. Again, I can always try painting it away, but I don't want to, so there's Erudition. Mastery regained. My summoning will obey my wishes for now. I obviously, if I was playing for... Oh, hang on. If I was playing for if I was playing for sort of the ideal setup, I would clearly have more variety in my summonings, but of course you all know what happens when we summon a Percussagant. The Percussagant, it loves the Sistrum's shiver, and it loves the thrum of the tympanos. It recalls with fondness the flaying of Marsyas, so it will not stop dancing. Sorry, I ran out of air on that one. That was a rebellious Percussagant, so that was sort of the sound that you hear in a sudden struggle. Let's beg for my job back. Otherwise, they're gonna bring a Percussagant in. Sorry, Melemony. Laidlaw has learnt cleverer uses of fire and copper and wax and acid. Okay, send in the next clone. Orchard of Lights again? Yeah! Yeah, so the, sorry, this is what I was going to say. The dancer obviously is very heart-oriented, and so going through the same self, turn that into dread because I'm an idiot. So the dancer is definitely very, very heavy on the white door. It's almost impossible not to go through. Just like, you know, each of these, you know, whether it's passion, whether it's reason, each start is going to have a particular aspect that it's very good at, and you're going to find it very easy to get inside that. The only one for which that's not true is the spider door, and obviously the peacock door. So that's technically two, but obviously if one of them has a very specific way of opening, you can't really count it, I don't think. It was common in that time to speak of the division of the sun, by which contemporaries understood the eruption of the barbarian forces and of their uncouth gods. So just so I can be clear, Melemony, you would like me to do that every time the Percussagant comes up, which we do. In particular, you would like to make sure that you tell me when you go to sleep so I can know exactly when that's a good thing to do, right? This is the gist. I think in this particular case I'm going to read these books because they will get me additional lore. In fact, let me think specifically about this. So Grail is slightly more important to me right now. Lock the study door, the work begins. Call upon the watchman who illuminates the watchman. Okay, let's get Slee on this. Okay, so I'll only have the notoriety and the mystique, but what I'm going to do here... I didn't beg, not quite. I've got 116 seconds, so I'm going to try and be a little cheesy about Wade. Well, no, I think I might be able to make this work. So we're going to leave this aside, and we're going to hold out to the last possible second, and we'll see if we can dodge the gumshoe. And I'll paint away my restlessness. So 29 seconds. We still might get the notoriety, but... We're mud spattered and thorn scratched, but we made it through. More colors of the night. Okay, getting another recruit. Don't want the restlessness. Let's go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. Hey! Can totally skip the next level. Last night, I visited the Lodge of the Sage Knight. My host had manifested as an elegant woman with fashionably short hair and dark glasses. No, she admits. I don't need them any more than I need eyes. Allow me my sentimentalities. But you've come here for knowledge, I expect. Here's a story I heard in my Kersham days. You are welcome to it. Only remember me if you come to make the pilgrimage. So again, in the absence of any lore that will solve the Stagdoor's riddle, we might as well just keep going through the White Door. If I didn't have as much health, it would be a little bit harder to justify this, but ooh, yeah, he's gonna find the notoriety for sure. I think it was a little too early on that. This volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane and contemplative order that existed in all histories, but it was known, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Nuriel and is dedicated to Sir Tryphon. Saint Tryphon, Nuriel explains, performed the secret miracles in the name of she who bleeds and bears, and she who opens. Thus, Saint Tryphon opened the way to the house of the sun. Thus, Saint Tryphon underwent the Grail birth, an ascension to immortality. So, again, when I'm talking about paying attention to the dialogue, usually in those lines are some indications as to either how you can advance inside of the Mansis, or how you can combine rituals, how you can combine things in interesting ways inside the rituals. The rituals are more or less taken care of now because, you know, the game generally tells you through other means. But even things like the enigmas, the things that are outside of the game, at least the first level of that actually has a clue directly in the game that tells you what you need to do. And we mentioned it on the first Steam broadcast, incidentally. Okay, I don't think I want to put any more people in. I think 16 Edge is going to be enough to deal with the ne'er-do-wells. Job's finished. This, of course, is cheesy as all hell. This is around the point that something should get gobbled up. Oh, but as it happens, I'm still probably going to have to... deal with... Oh, definitely. So, I gotta go to work. Let's get that cleared out. maybe he won't pick up the notoriety. He'll definitely pick up the mystique. Oh no, he needs the evidence. Never mind. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. The Watchers will almost certainly regret standing against us. Can I make it definitely certain? I know it's probabilistic now that they've implemented wounds. Okay, so we've got a new Eldridge, an elegant man of inelegant habits. You might be able to recruit this acquaintance as a follower, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, helpful. You've learned something that will earn. I've learned something that will earn me a favor, once only. Last night, I dreamt of a blue silk pavilion overlooking the cloudy labyrinth of the Bounds. I listened to the mistress of the place speak to the other visitors. The Suppression Bureau come here. Did you know that? I think they hope to recruit me as an ally, she snorts derisively. After what they tried to do to Christopher. But their folly is your fortune. I'll tell you something that may help you if the Bureau ever troubles you. Now, this has a time limit. I've never really been able to get these things. So it's, 300 seconds is pretty generous, but I usually, if I'm caught in a situation where I need this, I kind of need it in the moment. It's usually not enough to get this by chance. This may have other uses that I don't know, about, but actually this will be an interesting thing. Maybe I'll have a chat with the weary detective and see what happens if I use that favor on him. It's been a while since I've experimented in this game, and I feel like even if it's not optimal, I should probably be doing something like that. Saint Tryphon began his ascension by passing the Horn Door. He continued it by learning of the invocation Theatic, which Nuriel does not here record on account of its extreme holiness. And Nuriel explains grimly, to achieve the 7 marks of the Great Birth, Saint Tryphon consumed blood whose soul had left them, and even those in whom the soul had remained. So we've got the Iguvine Rite. Every door in the Mansis requires its sacrifice before it will open. The Iguvine rites prescribe the manner of the sacrifice. Nearly every summoning rite requires knock influence. This lore will provide it. And we've got the Megalesian incantation. We've got 3 of them, as a matter of fact. So I can I can translate the book. Is there anything that I can do with my study that's more interesting? Probably not at this point. So let's get our Grek on. Oh, letter B, thank you very much for that host. We have got Zomagod Washian, we've got Beergood, we've got Captain Shield saying welcome to the Raiders, sorry you're not on the raid, and the Eyes of Sin welcoming with that wonderful emote that she made, by the way. So if you were wondering why Epicurus is looking particularly Kappa-ish, that was Eyes of Sin coming up with something completely on her own. I can take no credit whatsoever other than maybe a very vague instruction. She really knocked that one out of the park, and I'm incredibly happy with it. So welcome, guys. Thank you very much for the host. What were you playing tonight, the letter B? And how are you doing? And how many of you who are joining the raid right now know about Cultist Simulator? Are you all dedicated fans, or are you completely mystified by this wonderful, very affordable, and highly recommended game? Buy today. If the letter B has a Humble Bundle link, use that. Otherwise, buy on GOG. You played Hellsign and Lobotomy Corporation. So somebody, I don't know if they really watch anymore. If you do, apologies. Feel free to say hi. I know I sent you an email a while back, but I know I was also late, so the season may have passed. But somebody recommended it to me. I didn't pick it up because I really don't think I'm going to be able to... I really don't think I'm going to be able to find the time to play new stuff like that, but I've heard good things, for sure. You backed it on Kickstarter and you loved this game. Wonderful. So that means you've also been able to play the Dancer DLC because you've got the Perpetual Edition. Have you played it on stream out of curiosity? I don't recall offhand. What do I want to do? So the Gaiety's been taken care of. I don't really have any summonings to do. Is that true, actually? It's pretty unlikely this will work, but let's just take a quick peek. So let's say, you know, this is Edge. So I probably want to put as much winter as I can into it. So I've got 5 here, I've got 6 here most likely. Okay. So I need more winter to make that happen. Worth a try. Wonder, can I try the same trick with... Oof. Curious if I can try the same trick maybe with a hint. I think I would have to... I think I'd have to use the Sunsight right for that, so... Bring up my Edge. Cat Caro. Rat. Can't make it happen. Worth a try, though. Yeah, you haven't streamed it, and you haven't played it since the Dancer came out. How far have you gotten? You haven't even progressed that far into the cult. Well, we've got our first sort of Dancer guys. I'm really trying to make sure that I get to Kersham before the end of the stream, which means that you guys get to have me for extra hours. But we're not that far in, if I'm completely honest with you. So there's the Stag Doors riddle. I have a lot of people who are advanced cultists, and that's partly because of the Miravine idol that I get from the Dancer. But I haven't really made the most of that. I've really kind of been dragging my feet. So Eldridge has almost learned not to pick his teeth with his knife in conversation. He has not yet learnt to leave his knife in his boot. Eyes of Sin was hanging out in your friend Kagi Kill's stream, and someone there was a viewer of mine and a fan of this game. A viewer of me, or the letter B? Because you might be referring to the guy Vince from... Hi, Vince. I know you're watching. Because if it is Vince, he mentioned you in a mutual stream. Oh wait, no, it wasn't your friend's stream. It was a stranger stream that you guys met. Do you guys know about the secret Neville ending? Because if you haven't, that was going to be some... Well, no, I've already revealed that. If you don't know about it, hopefully that'll be a video I do one day. Probably me, you've only streamed twice so far. I mean, you've been around. I thought you have been streaming for longer, the letter B. I guess we know what you need to do more of then. I love the fact that the Eyes of Sin has done, far and away done more for promoting my stream than I will ever do on my own account. How are we at... Ooh, okay, no, we're good. I think I'm just gonna do the painting, and I will accept that there will be notoriety, which I can't do anything about. I will, of course, preserve the longest-lasting mystique, though, because that'll keep the police off my back. What do I want to use as a subject? Let's use the Ecdysis Club now. I will use Fleeting Remembrance. Did they improve the card organization? Well, partly it's because of my steadfast dedication to the clear order that is aligned with all good Lantern followers. There is, I believe by default, the grid snap size is set to 1 card. If you would like, you can take it down to a 1/2 and a 1/4 card, or you can turn it off altogether. But yes, they have enabled a grid. Also, if you do this, shame on you. If you do this, excellent. And lots of other fun stuff. Yeah, I would also suggest, Captain Shield, humble is usually not... Sorry, I probably already said this, actually. Humble is not the first thing that comes to mind when people talk about me. I try not to be intolerable, but... I don't know. I guess the biggest... I do not like people's false modesty. I don't like people who are full of themselves. I think, especially people who basically want to be promising forever. Like, you actually need to do some kind of an accomplishment. But I definitely think there's a space for people to be willing to speak about the accomplishments that they have done forthrightly, but without it being like, you know, you're at McDonald's. Don't you know who I am? Birdworm. Birdworm is fully functioning from the time that it was originally inside the game, and it adjusts a certain parameter within it. Oh, oh my god, Wassian. Unless you are planning on dying tomorrow, there's plenty of opportunities to make that happen. Do I get to summon another Percussagant? I think I'm going to use the opportunity to heal my sickness before anything. Alright, so the Rose of Hypatia has been... volume... This one's dedicated to Saint Nymphia. Okay, so maybe I missed the distinction between the two, but... Saint Nympha is described as not born but cultivated. The sentience that became the saint, Hypatia indicates, inhabited a sinner's corpse in order to enable that sinner's redemption. Okay, so the dread's been dealt with. The affliction will soon be dealt with. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So I'll have no shortage of mystique, I'm sure. Some contentment, just in case. Yeah, I mean, it's better than the gaiety. Speaking of which, let's get back there. Dancing when sick. God, this guy's gonna make the whole troop go under. Oh, no. Why would I take the offense to that? This... You know, I must say, you're a very handsome man. Please don't be offended by that. No, that's an incredibly kind thing of you to say. Zomygod. By the way, how should I pronounce your name? Zomygod Wassian? ZOMG. ZOMG Wassian. Anyways, no, thank you. It's very nice of you to say, and it's particularly nice for somebody who brings nothing to the stream other than his voice. You guys are not here for the quality gameplay, and you are certainly not here for my considerable good looks. So being recognized for the good lord, thank you very much. You know, being recognized for that, the one thing that I am bringing to the stream is exactly the sort of thing I like to hear. Thank you, you're very nice. And we've got Frater5 saying, hey system, put this to good use summoning elder gods. I have got 100 biddies, 200 biddies, 300, 400, 500, 680. I have no idea what drove you to pick that particular number, but thank you for launching yourself straight up to the top of the chart. What is more important to me is I get to see that cute little sloth there. But thank you, Freighter5. I'm sure you worked very hard for whatever job you do to afford those bits. And so the fact that you chose to spend them here rather than on yourself, because it was just Black Friday, does mean a lot. Thank you. And I'm not just saying that. I hit kind of a crossover point. There was a while when the stream was actually a net positive in terms of income if I didn't count the cost of the computer. That actually slipped back to the negative just in terms of the extra internet package and stuff like that. But I have noticed a few of you have really gone above and beyond in terms of stuff like bits and the donations and that. So it's not lost on me. There's actually a few of you have actually made it the difference between like the positive and negative number. And I never worry about that. The only thing is I want to make sure I report it on my taxes. But I really do appreciate stuff like that. Even if you think you're just giving like a small amount or it's something so you can see a message come in, it is actually, that stuff adds up. And it does mean a lot. It actually does give me some encouragement to keep going. What else do we have? We've got Wei Zion. All right. You're here for the good looks. That's fine because you know why you came to your letter B stream. Eisen says, well, dear sir, you are a delightfully comely man, my good gent, and a fine orator to boot. Please, I beg you not to take offense to that. I mean no ill will by pointing out the delights of your visage. How many times have you met me in person, Eyes of Sin? Thank you very much. It is an auspicious number. We have got, is it Lore Kayam? Sorry, it's a little light on my chat right now. Hello chat, hello chalk, and deep mystery something somethings. Well, we already know how big of a fan you are of this game. I hope you're doing well. And who else do we have here? Sorry for the paperwork. Oh, please, no, Freighter5. I need to declare it anyway. But the catch is that if I don't declare it, I'm in a big negative. If I do declare it, then I'm neutral. And I like doing that paperwork because so the ideal for me on the money thing, if I could find a way to make this thing break even, that is sort of my one goal, but it's a goal that I don't actually make any specific effort for. I've dedicated exactly 0 thought towards how can I get people to pay for this. If I do a fundraiser thing, I put a lot of thought into that, but obviously I don't keep the money from the fundraiser. That is sort of the whole point of doing a fundraiser. I know, as I've said, that was actually really mean because I know whenever I chat with you, if you ever make a small linguistic blunder, you'll be very apologetic for it, and there's no reason to do so. No, I was just having some fun with that. I know exactly what you meant. And please do not think too much about the thing. Also, I didn't read Eldridge. Eldridge is waiting patiently until it's time to knife someone again. I really wanted to read that. I was lazy. Ooh, the treatise on the underplaces. Herein, the 17th century mystic and antiquarian Claude Hirschalt describes the bounds or underplaces on the borders of dreams. He warns that they shift over time. So I'm going to run into a little bit of difficulty with my percussagant. We've also got Lord Franklin Bancroft, Diaries 1750 to 1790, the notorious journal of a notorious gentleman, written in Latin, no doubt for the sake of safety. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to digest a few of my furtive truths, and that means that my percussagants are going to decay. Wait, what do we have? Hey, Le Chauffleur, how are you doing? Good to see you. So how much of my sin have I danced away so far? I have not sinned the tiniest little bit. The percussagants were the ones to murder people. I didn't do anything. Great to see you. And Isaacson, he likes doing the paperwork because I'm a big old nerd. Indeed I am. Oh, Captain Shield is telling vicious lies. I definitely feel like painting a percussagant. The only problem is they won't stand still. an opportunity. Throw passion at it. Not all the dead enter the Mantis by the Winter Door. Not all the dead enter the Mantis at all. So we've got Wood Whisper, we've got Words That Walk, all stuff we've already got, so we may use it for upgrades, but not the end of the world if it does. I am kind of hoping that the Treaties on the Underplaces will give me level 3, level 6 knock, but the Walls of the Mantis, Herschel begins, are the size of starlight. Many of his directions are equally unhelpful, but common relationships do emerge. So what's the goal of this playthrough? To win. We are enjoying the Dancer DLC, so part of it was just to explore it. The goal of this particular playthrough tonight, which I am now 8 minutes overtime on, is to use my Viper guys. And we're now on the way because I am using these furtive truths to explore. But yeah, we're pursuing at the very least a heart victory, but I will allow for potential other victories as well. And generally, like, so even though this has been out for a while now, because I've only been playing this on streams, and especially because I have been babbling so much during them, we haven't made that much progress. And so I'm sort of getting a chance to experience this thing that everybody kind of got to play at the, you know, at release. I know people who've already got there. I mean, they've got multiple victories. I'm still just plodding along. I'm a lead-footed dancer, but it's fun. I like sharing it with you. So, but yeah, we are going at least for heart. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. A little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. Okay, painting time? Painting time. This is true, you do get more Cultist Simulator, although it's debatable if I just pause the stream and talk for the majority of it as to whether or not that's actually Cultist Simulator so much as it's just a podcast with a, you know, with a still image of Cultist Simulator over it. And again, like, I'm the only one who worries about it. It's been universal comment. Okay, there was one mean comment about the talking thing, which was the Steam one. And the only reason I say it was a mean comment was because I made a genuine effort to see whether or not, like, where they were coming from. And it was just basically one of those ones where it's like, oh, it's really bad that I missed this thing and he had to cheat for it. I'm like, well, that is kind of how these games work. I really should have read the flavor text for that. You know, this game is about discovery and such. But anyways, nope, these guys know better. All right, the time we have been waiting for. We're definitely going to go to Karashim. I can't promise you that I'll do the rest of the quests, but we have what we need.
I would never want to belong.
Hey, thank you very much for that follow. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, and that's, you know, it's totally fine too. You know, obviously it's text, so people aren't necessarily going to understand where I'm coming from, but I definitely want to do as much as I can to challenge this assumption that the game is only fun if you are beating it. Like, Cultist, if you do not enjoy discovering things and working things out and missing things, I don't think Cultist Simulator is for you. One of the reasons why I have over 100 hours of playtime is the fact that I've been able to play things that I've already got my victory for and be, you know, basically be able to find new little things in the lore. Like, I'm still... So the one thing I don't like doing, you can, if you want, just go in and read all the JSON and see all of the text for the game, but I really do like reading it in context and just thinking a little bit about how it interacts with itself. This is, you know, kind of dumb, but I mean, I don't know, I guess people go and run with weights on because they find that more effective or enjoyable, or whatever reason people subject their bodies to those experiences. For me, I do kind of like pretending that there's no internet and just having that process of kind of digging through and seeing how things turn out. And at this moment, you know, I'm going to start using my Viper guys. And I know there's going to be a bunch of people in chat who already know about it, but this is going to be my first opportunity to dance the dance of the Viper. So slink along the streets to the once fine townhouse, surreptitiously case the back garden. Odd stories circulate about the woman who lives here. She might be an adept, a collector, or even a rare thing called an empausa. You must be watchful. Expeditions need at least 1 funds per obstacle. Followers will defeat obstacles. If you run out of funds or followers, the expedition ends. So let's bring our good old reliable Pope Clifton. We've got ascending. Now and then, the expedition might have another purpose. Here we go. The chauffeur, just before we do this, says, I made the mistake, prolonged the run by about an hour, mistakenly pulling a 14th strength Secret Histories lore to explore instead to talking to Sula-chan. Yeah, well, I mean, Sean, I definitely feel that learning is the original roguelike. So, you know, I love games like Risk of Rain. You know, I love this idea of getting items as you continue to play and giving you a reason to keep going over and over again. But the thing that it really just like makes me feel giddy about games are ones. I mean, this is one of the like a great reason why I really like the Paradox stuff is like I can rely on the fact that if I put the time into learning the game, like it is, you know, it's like, I don't know how many of you guys have tried to use like Vim as a text editor, but like I really sort of feel like you need to just straight up rewire your brain to make that thing work properly. And it's completely clear to me why it is a superior choice for a certain type of programmer. Arguably any programmer, but then you have the question in terms of whether or not the cost of learning is worth it. I know I can hit collect all, but it gives me a chance to talk when I do it one at a time. Where the hell was I going with all of this? Yeah, so like sometimes learning a Paradox game, especially an earlier one, is like that. It's just, you know, it is not like other games that you've played, and it's hard, and it's sometimes a little unpleasant, especially when it's like, why do I keep losing these fights? Oh, damn it, I wanted to try and talk with a weary detective with this. I should still be able to make something happen with this. This is almost certainly the lady who will try and take one away from me. But the fact that I can keep playing Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis. I mean, Europa Universalis, I always keep playing Holland and I still find new things to do. Like, I really love this idea of just keeping on going in and sort of figuring out how everything works. And in the case of Europa Universalis, obviously it's made by a big team, and it's, you know, you can basically play every nation state in that part of history. In their sense, they've made it complex in terms of just lots of different systems interacting with each other. Now, clearly that's not what I fell in love with when I originally played Cultist Simulator. There was very little in the game, but it was pretty apparent how the thing sort of scaled out. What I particularly like about this one is just this opportunity to sort of jump in and just always be given a glimpse at something bigger, and sort of know that it all holds together in a certain way, but it always just keeps it that much out of reach, whether it's how to get to that next level or whether that connection in terms of some of those ideas. And it seems like they're kind of unrolling more of this lore as you continue going through the game. And I'm not normally someone who like really digs into the lore of games. Even like Dark Souls, like I kind of like the story of Dark Souls too. But I'm mostly lost during those games. Like, I don't make a special effort, and I can't tell, like, I had to go and find out how long Dark Elves live in the Elder Scrolls, and some of you will know why, and some of you will figure it out from what I just said. But sort of those sorts of things, I usually tend to leave for someone else. But there's really something about I think it's because Cultist Simulator engaged me enough And because I enjoyed that process of sort of learning things, I'm a little bit more inclined to sort of follow it on the journey. And I'm not like that in other games, so... But, anyways, you feel like exploring and experimenting can be an important aspect to enjoying games. Not all, but quite a few. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, gaming now assumes that you are going... Like, they print strategy guides, but strategy guides really are the replacement for the manual, in my opinion. Like, I think most games are written, if not designed, assuming that people are going to go online and look for how to play it and how to beat it. And that's totally fine. To me, I don't find that fun because I feel like I am a fleshy implementation of somebody else's algorithm for playing the game. And especially because I play a lot of strategy games, I find that really spoils the enjoyment for me if I do that. You know what? I think I'm going to take the young... Let me think about this. No, I think I want to preserve the oldest Mystique. If I'm keeping the notoriety, I'm gonna stick with that. Obviously, I'm gonna need to rush to make Curtain Call, but we should be... Oops, what am I doing? I can paint about my contentment. Is that a good idea? I'm gonna say it's a good idea. So yeah, I completely get that I'm an outlier in that, but, you know, it is also my playthrough. That's kind of how I look at that. Other things people were saying, some pay respects to the lores, others see the next grind routine for beating the game. Yeah, absolutely. Sean says, as a programmer who does primarily web stuff, all you have learned about Vim is how to quit it. Yeah, I mean, it's powerful. In terms of like the neckbeardy stuff that I use, I definitely have and generally know... Ah, god damn it. Emacs. I feel reasonably comfortable with Emacs, and I think that people who use Emacs, like, if you put on Emacs, you would get the power of those kinds of text editors, but you'd sort of have a hope of understanding what was going on in the way that Vim was just like, what is this dark sorcery? But, I mean, honestly... This game's made in Notepad++, like, you know, using Vim, using Microsoft Studio, what do they call it? No, Visual Studio now. You know, it's like that thing I was saying about, you know, none of the people who are talking about using this statistical programming language over that other statistical programming language are better than the people who are using the other one. The proprietary ones, I feel safe saying, Stata and SAS are the two proprietary ones that people are trying to say are not good. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. There is a reason why every academic economist uses Stata. But yeah, like you don't become a better programmer because you use Vim or Emacs. You know, good programmers use those obviously because they have a number of shortcuts that make them very helpful and powerful. But those shortcuts also exist in like Notepad++ and stuff like that. As always, I think if you wind up spending time talking about the tools, you probably are not working on an interesting project. But that's just me being a grump. Picturesque account of a journey through a nightmare, interspersed with what might be partial rites. On the 18th ascent is the bud. On the 36th ascent, the blossom. I think that corresponds to the number of a particular type of lore that you need to achieve victory. I'm not sure, though. What do I want to read next? Lord Franklin Bancroft. Let's go for it. I can learn Aramaic another time. You know that Emacs is very much in the same category of editors for you. Your Sublime, Atom, VS Code person. Yeah, I'm bullshitting you guys if I say that Emacs is easy to use. Emacs, in my opinion, is easier than Vim. It is not easy to use. I liked Atom. The only thing was when I used it for a Stellaris mod, it turned out that it was not compatible. There was one little hinky bit that they couldn't resolve, and I don't know if that'll change with the new 2.2 patches, or the new 2.2 patch, because I know they're changing modding. But I just used Notepad++ for that. But yeah, like I said, I mean, excuse me. I cannot imagine actually going up behind someone. I'm like, you use ... But I have had somebody say that to me, and it was dumb. Yes, that web. Do you, Le Chauffleur, do you happen to have that link? Because that is hilarious, and I think you all should. If you guys like Cultist Simulator, you should definitely see this webpage that Le Chauffleur is referring to. Let's go to the Orchard of Lights. Well, could have been worse. Let's see if we can turn that into something. Yes, I am really milking this what happens on the expedition thing, I know. Okay, our expedition plans for its next challenge. It will consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. So we've got Watchers to deal with. We've got a warded door for Forge or Knock, which I'm currently not taking care of. Fifth Eye Curse will be taken care of. So I think at this point we bring in the Forge Brothers. You are 100% allowed to post the link. Haha, I've betrayed you, Le Chauffleur. You're banned for life. No, thank you very much for that. If you've not read it, I found that a profoundly amusing website, and I hope you guys see that as well. All right, Poppy Lascelles. In the meantime, so Fascination's coming up. I'm okay with that. Weary Detective. Let's have a conversation with you, and I want to see if I can use the favor. Colors of the Night. I have no idea what happens with this. Is purely just a chance to see what happens. It'd be wonderful if I just tell him, hey, you know what? Let's kill the whole trying to stop me thing. Watchers are almost certainly regret standing against us. Now I'm gonna need money to keep pushing forward at some point, but let's load up on the Forge dudes. Okay, as always, restlessness, although hopefully I will not be yearning for change soon. I do really enjoy it when people do the, what is the name of that rite again? It's the Poppy rite. Sorry, yeah, it's the one that it's sort of implied that she uses on you. I really do enjoy it when that rite takes Poppy. The only challenge is I've never found a use for it. It always feels like it's basically suicidal. Hopefully I'll get a chance to use the restlessness. If not, I'll go. The end is beautiful, thank you. 53, percussivants are a privilege, not a right. And I've got 2 of them. Bancroft seems to have been a talented adept, but devoted his energies to frustratingly whimsical projects. Sounds like me in grad school. Arranging grape-fetching races between Mansa spirits, teaching percussivants to juggle, and conjuring storms of imaginary blossoms for the Rose Witch, Ayrshire, who resolutely refused ever to couple with him. Bancroft spends 20 pages bemoaning his this last. Yeah, this guy really does sound like me. Hey, another forgotten domino. We won't be able to summon anything, but I'm always happy to get more secret histories. The webpage? It's great. That was rash. Perhaps I shouldn't have exposed myself, so, you know, you never know what happens. At least I've got 4 notoriety to run through painting with. Okay, conversations. Well, you know what? Let's have a chat with Poppy. You know what? No, that's mean. I'm not going to use Poppy. I'm not going to use Poppy till it's desperate. Let's get these commissions dealt with. Give me something. It'll give me something to do. Oh, that was Jannings. Okay, I think I'm paying for messing around with the order. It's a really niche use for the dancer as someone on the Cultist Discord found it. For the end of... Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, this is the thing. Like, obviously from the developer stream that they did, it's clear that they're conscious of the fact that there are certain things that people kind of find to be dominant strategies, and it's clear that you want to remove stuff like that when you can. So to my mind, the fact that they... So, like, here's how I think about this. The fact that they added scars to make it less of a kick in the nuts when you lost one of your followers means that they're conscious of the fact that people feel very scared to go on expeditions in the old form. And so if The End is Beautiful winds up doing the exact same thing, I mean, it's just the sheer odds of it. You're only going to have like one person who's coming after you at a time, maybe two if you're unlucky. But you're going to have so many more people who you want to keep on the table. So the fact that you don't get to choose it means that it is far more likely to take something that you don't want to go away. And I'm not quite clear what the benefit of it was. So I'd kind of prefer to discover it for myself, Le Chauffleur. I'll be sure to ask, like, the way I normally do that is when I'm curious, I'll usually like say the safe word, but for now, I actually kind of like to have... I like to have these mysteries. At the very least, I'd like to give myself a chance to look at something like that, so... Alright, I'm going to paint away this restlessness before I get in trouble. Should probably let this die. I mean, it'll be good for my money, but... It's probably a good idea for me to let at least one of the notoriety die. It's one of the things that's always tricky about streaming, because, you know, I do my best to preserve certain... Like, there's games that I own, and I really should be paying attention. There are games that I own that I don't... I haven't played, and, like, I paid full price for them when they first came out, and they were on sale for, like, Black Friday. And I haven't played them because I want to do them for the first time on stream. But of course, the drawback with that is that if, you know, sometimes people are very excited about certain titles and they will tell you things. Like, so it's fun to share that experience of something, you know, playing something for the first time. I completely forgot. I've got 6... Okay, so I'll make it, but man, this could have turned into a big blunder. But yeah, so the drawback is that part of the fun is being able to share the enjoyment of a game for the first time, but some of the risk when you stream is that people will take away that first experience and again reduce you to the fleshy algorithm of their solution for playing the game. And I tend to notice that if I allow a backseat or something like that, you let one through, and then all of a sudden everybody just tells you how to play every single game. So I'm a bit of a stick in the mud, but... And I know people are like really excited to share that stuff. I do genuinely feel bad about it, but I'm mean. The mantra here recorded is a high and exacting magic, which can be used to pledge one's spirit to the Watchman, beginning an ascent to the house. Bancroft boasts of his ability to recite it when in his cups. He also had it set to music for a performance with fireworks at Vauxhall Gardens. Mercy, saith the watchman, is found only in shadow. Alright. I am going to study Aramaic. There is, of course, no single Aramaic, but I'll learn what I can. Looks like I've got a chance. Okay, we'll almost certainly shatter this warded door. We've got... Yeah, okay, the Forged Bros have got this Heart or Winter to suppress the Fifth Eye Curse. Let's get Leo on this too. Yeah, more Forgotten Chronicles than I know what to do with. So I don't think there was something I wanted to do in Dream. Right, get rid of the fascination. Yes, at least I'm fairly certain that I haven't quite memorized all of them, but I am 90% certain based on the phrasing of the riddle that it's Knock. As it is, I'm honestly looking... Whoa! My recent work is celebrated. My name is known and my work has done well. I didn't realize that I could get fascination out of that. The weary detective will die of old age before he finds my notoriety. I mean, 4 funds is not that much for something that's apparently that celebrated. Yeah, well, it's just one of those things where, like, I don't... Like, I like Cultist Simulator, but, you know, I've not quite reached the level of fandom where I live it. Just a bit. I'm a very mysterious person. This is my action, so this is by choice. This is a reflection of my IRL mystique. Only a man who is brave enough to never show his face on the internet in front of strangers would ever have this much mystique. I've achieved a basic understanding of Aramaic, and I did not need to bring the Alapine into it. But I don't have anything for study, so let's do... in this case, I'm going to go for anything that doesn't lose me something. So in this case, for instance, I'll do the Megalesian Incantation. I'll combine them together, even though it probably won't turn out, because of course I'll still have the, you know, the level 2 after getting the level 6, whereas that wouldn't be true of the Knock. So certain words beg to be spoken. It is tempting to spend time in their consideration. Tempting and perhaps useful. Supplies are low. Unless I send more funds, we will have to abandon the expedition. I almost blew that. Alright, I am alone, which means I'm happy. Ask everyone who's ever been alone, and they'll say that it is bliss. Opportunity at the Gaiety Theatre. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, and I commit myself more fully. Might as well throw passion at it. The air is curdled now. I am home again, in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. Let's take care of the... I really feel like the fleeting remembrances killing fascination was a very forgiving choice. But again, I'm speaking as someone who played the game where they wouldn't tell you how rituals worked, so don't listen to me. I'm a jerk. I think we can do something with this mystique. We'll let the notoriety tick down, though. You never know. This might be, might be a living. Who do I want to paint? Dorothy? You're a swell gal. Alright, we are strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against the curse. That's what happens when you bring multiple percussivants. Obviously, I'd like to do more of these commissions, but in the meantime, it'd be nice to sort of fill out the ranks and take care of all of this. I don't see any point in combining the Glimmerings. It'd be nice to do that for erudition, but you tend not to get a lot of erudition from painting. And the real idea here is... and we've got a hanger-on and more mystique. Okay. Let's think, let's just keep blabbing about the heart and how great it is. I can obviously recruit them, but clearly, you know, a low-level knock is not, I'm not going to run home. I'm not going to call my, you know, surviving family members after this stream, I got a level 2 knock! That's amazing! Only going through the motions, I put all my mystique into that. Yeah, that's more like it. Competent work. I'll settle with competence. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. I probably should start doing some of the romance options, because I realize that you guys probably haven't seen that unless you play the game yourself. Maybe in the... I clearly won't do that tonight, but in the absence of other information, you go on dates in the game, and certain people prefer certain locations. So, you know, in the case of, you know, Saliba, basically, if you just give him, like... So, you know, like, you go to the corner store, and you can get, like, a Snickers bar. What you gotta do, you don't get him a Snickers bar, you actually get him, like, the box that it comes in. The thing that they take and they open up in the store. And you watch him eat them, and he eats them without taking off the wrapper. And that is the date with Saliba. But yeah, basically, assuming that they're into you, you take people on dates, and part of the advancing the romance is figuring out where they want to go. Beer is curdled now. I am home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. So I don't really see a lot for me to do with the dream except going back through the white door, so... Where would you want to go if you had a date in a cultist simulator location? That's an open question for anyone, but this is definitely very important information for me for the Eyes of Sin. So, my research needs erudition, which of course I don't have. You got a date to leave on your next run. Wanted to do sensation anyway. Okay, let's cut loose, foot loose. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. A little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. Oh yeah, I was talking about like the bits and donations and stuff like that. You guys have been very generous. And what is obviously a sex toy. You guys have just provided me with more plastic dongs than I will ever know what to do with, so thank you for that. I don't know how you got my personal address. But that's lovely of you. It's a very thoughtful gift. I did not know that they came in so many shapes and colors. I have learned a lot about you over the course of the last couple of years of streaming, and I just wanted to let you know from the bottom of my heart, if not my loins, the effort is appreciated. You generally like to see the Street Strange. I would, yeah. The Street Strange by Midnight is actually a really, it's a well-written thing on its own. I also don't know if there are dates in the Mansus. I've personally not seen one yet, but I guess I don't have any other heart people. You know what, Enid? I like Knock. I have no idea what that is, Le Chauffeur, but I'm scared to ask. Alright, so obviously we failed because we didn't have... Well, not obviously, you can get by without it, but normally it doesn't work out. I've never seen that happen before. Interesting. You're struggling to think of one that didn't sound lethally risky. I actually don't have an easy answer. I don't have an answer for myself for that. I was mostly hoping that you guys would give me good ideas. Moorland, oh god. I mean, so there was a place in Vancouver called McLeod's Books. And like almost every single piece of classic literature that I have has come from... Oh, sorry Enid. I'll have to paint you later. I'm gonna pace my restlessness like one of my French girls first. But yeah, I quite literally every time I see Moorlands, I think specifically of that bookstore, because I would always go there. I would go out of my way, like it took about an hour and a half on the SkyTrain to get there, and I would go out of my way because there was always something new to pick out of it. So Moorlands is definitely a solid choice. Oh, here's a weird thing. There are no restaurants in Cultist Simulator. Yeah, it's also a little uncharacteristic for me to so directly mention them. It just happened to be that I had read that read that line of dialogue for about the millionth time, and I'm like, let's just call it what it is. One of those fine examples of streams where you immediately say, oh, speaking of Saliba. Saliba is a man of prodigious appetites. He is long past the point where their satisfaction has given him any pleasure. But he has learnt so very much. Yeah, so it's definitely one of those cases where you say something on stream and then immediately wish you could not. But there you have it. I do not need trappings for the first level. I am a moron. Isn't the adversary meeting at a restaurant? Oh, that's a good point. How do you poison the thing? I always thought it was like a... No, I guess it would be at a restaurant. I think it depends on the specific reading that you... Or the specific event that you trigger. Because I think some of them are in like a more closed environment. I will admit, I actually really like the situations where you wind up poisoning the guy. Okay, here we go. The name of the serpent. My serpent self has found the old... Oh, actually, let's just go back and make sure there's nothing else. Alright, nothing remains to bar our way. Search the cellar first, and then the upper rooms. We don't want to be trapped. On the topmost floor is an altar to the sun divided, which could be one of many hours. Sweep the items here displayed into a carpet bag, and let's make haste to the back streets. The name of the serpent. My serpent self has found the old dream where the name of the mother of ants, called Old Mother Anguish, met with her daughter Daha, who had a twin. Their parley is long ended, but I can still learn their lesson. So, notoriety for my trouble. Leo, back to the... all of you back to your posts. We still have a brace of Precussigants. We've gained Integument, surrendered. The twins and the serpent war, and in that war I have learnt how pain can be a gate. Bronze Spintrea. Ooh, my serpent self has gone away. And what do you know? I have a work slot available to go back to the Ecdysis Club if I'm so inclined. Well, I mean, the same way that there's no toilets, Captain Shield. Like, I don't think it's a specific choice. I just think it's... Anyways, comrades, on that note, I'm going to leave it in suspense as to what happens. Say goodnight. I'm going to read this again because I really like this line so much. The Precussigant, it loves the Sistrum's shiver, it loves the thrum of the tympanos, it recalls with fondness the flaying of Marsyas, and so it will not stop dancing. And neither will I! See you all next week for another episode of The Dancer, where I will actually make progress, because I've got 4 more Tier 2 explorations, and I have got a whole bunch of Forgotten Chronicles. What is probably going to hold me back, though, is I don't have a good... I don't have a good pipeline for summoning new beasts. So not even letting the hook finish. I gotta give you guys a reason to come back right at the start of the stream. So, but I am gonna take a minute here. Again, we'll close it out the same way. Design, writing, and coding by Alexis Kennedy. Production, marketing, and biz, Lottie Bevan. UI design and coding, Martin Nerukar. And again, if you like this, do check out Martin's game. It is Nowhere Prophet. He is also on Twitter. They're all on Twitter. Alexis Kennedy is at Alexis Kennedy, Lottie Bevan at Tron Bevan. If you want to follow Weather Factory, and I highly recommend that you do, at Factory Weather. Martin Nerukar, I believe, is M. Nerukar. There is also a dedicated Twitter to Nowhere Prophet. If you want an elevator pitch for Nowhere Prophet, think FTL meets Hearthstone. Art by Catherine Unger, Clockwork Cuckoo, Lottie Bevan, who's doing more and more of it, it seems, and Sarah Gordon. The lovely music that you're listening to, Mary Beth Solomon, Brent Barkman, Mickey Erb for Mickey Moore Productions Limited, which I believe is Canadian. I believe there is a soundtrack DLC coming out relatively soon as well. Audio by Sound Cuts. Additional writing, Lottie Bevan. For those of you who don't know, the romance endings were written by hers, and that was the first one that I got, so very happy to know that. Additional coding by Fraser McCormick and Chris Payne. Additional design by Callan Porter. And finally, special thanks to Sonia and PK, Matt Hosty, Haley Urias, and literally everyone who has ever sent feedback or a bug report. If you have this game and you've not done so, support at weatherfactory.biz. I know they really do appreciate bug reports, and please do as I say, not as I do, because I've been really bad at following up with the bug reports, but I have also experienced fewer bugs over the time. Finally, because there are more people here than when I said this before, we have got some VIPs in the channel. So we have got Sean LeBlanc, who does a lot of really cool indie games. I met Sean at a sort of this thing called Dirty Rectangles. It's a local video game dev collective, and it partly is something that I sought out as a result of sort of the interactions that came as a result of games like Cultist Simulator and Brigador, and sort of just becoming aware of the fact that there were people who, one, there were actually people behind the games that I enjoyed, and those people were watching the stream, and that people really like it when I find these unusual little games that they then pick up on their own. So, yes, that is absolutely the thing that you are getting right now. Again, I encourage you just check this all out. It's pretty diverse. If you don't like one of them, that doesn't mean that you won't necessarily like them. Sean also has definitely got a gift for presentation, which you will not necessarily get through these games, but there's a lot of reasons to find them impressive. Either sort of understanding what he was going for, or just getting the joke. I don't know. There's lots of things that are fun about this. And then I need to find this one again. Incidentally, Sean, if you know of anybody else's project that I've not been able to, that I haven't brought out, definitely feel free to post any of the other projects that are worthy of attention, because I'm really just putting the ones that I remember from last week. But yeah, anyways, Eye of Ra is by another developer who is, I believe he worked 2 years on this. And this is a game, it's a very good looking game. I didn't get to play it. I mean, sorry, I say didn't get to play it. People always say, does anybody want to try the game? And I always sit there like a bump on the log. I think the professionals can handle that. Mind you, I also kind of sit in the back, so I don't need to worry about it. Anyways, they're all very tolerant of me, who just sits there and looks in supreme envy at all the cool stuff that they are doing. But these are two projects that, well, Sean's page has all of his projects, but these are things that I saw last week when I was not playing Cultist Simulator. And it's one thing for me to say that, you know, doing stuff like that gives me fun ideas and just kind of recharges my batteries for stream. But this is actually a chance for me very directly to show you what some of this stuff is, and there's nothing stopping you from playing these games. You can, you know, download them. Incidentally, for the name your own price stuff, if you have the means, I do encourage you to support the developers of games that you like. Obviously, we don't get cool games if people do not have the means of making those games, but I also understand that there is a pretty broad background for people. I would put it to you this way: if you have a way of supporting me on Twitch or supporting one of these games, definitely consider doing that. If you have the means to support me, then you should probably be supporting the people who are giving me content to play, because I will be taken care of. I have enough sort of options in terms of my work that this is a pure fun thing. But hopefully you guys, oh Jesus Christ, why did I say that? God damn it. I am going to wear my finest skin mask so you can't identify who I am. Anyways, so for those of you, if you guys have not been convinced to try out Sean's games, now go play those games and see what insanity I have ahead of me if I don't find a clever way of getting my way out of it. Please give him money so that I can be released from this terrible pact. Anyways, guys, I'm going to find somebody to host. Thank you for dealing with me and my ranting. I am glad that we have made an ever so small bit of progress. And actually, with the idea of finding weird and wonderful games on Twitch, W. Shand is certainly a much bigger streamer than me. He not only does this for a living, but he lives in Vancouver, which is ridiculously expensive. But when he does the Midnight Society, he does tend to play the sorts of things that you will find if you reverse sort Steam by price. And he's definitely a very, I don't know, he's changed his style a little bit, I've noticed, but he's definitely a very charismatic streamer, and he definitely knows a lot more about what he's doing and is actually fun to watch. So he doesn't exactly need my charity in the form of a host, but I think he's a great guy to finish off. So if you feel like you're in the mood for more off the beaten track sorts of things, definitely hang around and check out W. Shand. As always, the raid messages were tired of system talk. Heard this place was better. And if you don't feel like watching Shand, well, you guys just found a whole webpage full of free games to play. So, see you guys Friday. Something probably expected by this point, but something unusual will come up on Friday. And I think you guys will enjoy it. And I think Eyes of Sin, if you're still around, we need to talk about that. But have a good one, guys. See you at Chance.